for Africa's iconic elephants.
Recapping the top story this hour, the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Filippo Grandi, has warned advances by paramilitary rapid support forces in Sudan could trigger another exodus across the country's borders. For any news stories you'd like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Cholani Tulo Wepe.
SABC News. The African Perspective. Get set and be ready to go. On the Move with Palesa and Benjamin Moshatama. On the Move with Benjamin and Palesa every weekday on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Good morning to you and yours, and welcome to On the Move right here on Channel Africa. You're in the right place if you're in search of the African perspective. Thank you so much to the morning show. That's Asanda Peta and Peter Ndoro. Kickstarted our morning on Africa Rise and Shine. But now it's 6 minutes past 9 Central Africa time. You're tuned into On the Move with myself, Palesa and Benjamin Moshatama. Come in, tune in on www.channelafrica.co.za on our new Channel Africa app that you can download from your app store on iOS or Android operating systems, but also you can find on our audio bouquets, DSTV channel 802 and OpenView channel 628. Let's look at the conversations we'll be having this morning. But first, how are you doing, Beji?
Hey man, I'm good. How are you, Bali?
Doing all right.
Good.
All right, we're going to talk relationships in the first hour of the show. And the first relationship with the opposite sex that many of us has is with our parents. So a man has their first relationship with a woman with their mother, and a woman has her first relationship with a man, usually with her father or a male figure within the family. And if that person is present, doing well, and you look up to that person, it so happens that you look for similar qualities in your romantic partner as you get older. But we'll be looking at something called the high benchmark effect, meaning your father or your mother has placed such a high benchmark in what you think is perfect for a partner, that you want your partner to live exactly to those standards. That, of course, could cause a lot of havoc within your relationship, and we're talking about that. Is it healthy to blueprint your partner according to your parents, and how do you deal with those pressures in a relationship?
That's an interesting one. And then we move on with our second hour, and we look at something called dopamine detox, right? So this is an interesting one because we're always scrolling, we're always looking at our notifications, streaming and multitasking while doing all those things, and that over time creates a feeling of being overwhelmed, exhausted, and even you feel like you're just doing too much. So there's this idea of dopamine detox that has emerged that is not much of a medical cleanse but more of a lifestyle reset. It's the simple concept of taking a break from all those activities. How do you do that? We'll be speaking to Jabu Zwane, who's a mindset development coach. Hey, Bali, in the third hour, we've got Live Well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, we do have Live Well, and of course that's when we talk all things health. And today we're finding out about eating disorders during the festive season. It's a time for eating, it's a time for gathering, and food is really a main part of our festivities during this time of the year. What do you do and how do you deal with it when someone in the family or within that group of people has an eating disorder? We'll be unpacking that in today's final hour.
Hey, stay in touch with us. Our WhatsApp number is +27 634 691 126. You can text us or voice note us, but we're streaming live on our Facebook page, and simultaneously you can also find us on YouTube. Remember, we want you to be a family member of Channel Africa. We want you to be our fellow Africans, so you can follow us on that Facebook page simply titled Channel Africa, or you can subscribe on our YouTube page and you can see what's happening in studio. You can also holler back at us. I see you've been telling us where you are watching us from in different shows on Channel Africa. Yeah, holler at us right here on The Move and tell us where you are listening to us from on the African continent. It's an African experience. Welcome.
África. Conhece o Ntivani?
Claro que sou eu.
Ntivani é o amante da música de corpo e alma.
Eu amo música africana.
Ele aprecia todos os tipos de melodias e passa os seus dias a ouvir a Channel África. Adivinha só, a Channel África quer ajudar o Ntivani e os amantes da música em todo o lado a descobrir ainda mais música incrível. Por isso, a Channel África está a convocar artistas africanos a submeterem as suas músicas. Músicos, lembrem-se de nos dar todas as informações relevantes no music@channelafrica.co.za. As submissões são a vossa oportunidade de ser ouvidos, mas não garantem inclusão na lista. Todas as submissões serão cuidadosamente analisadas para verificar se cumprem os requisitos da nossa estação. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
Step into the heart of the day on the move with Palesa and Benjamin.
It's time for those relationship conversations here on The Move. Definitely one of our favorite conversations to have because we're navigating so many dynamics when it comes to relationships. And it is said that the first male relationship that a woman has is a relationship with her father or the father figure in her life. And the first relationship that a man has is the relationship with his mother or the mother figure in his life. So
Yeah,
it goes
I've
without
noticed
saying,
that, you know, like my sisters are very close with my father,
Yeah.
and I'm very close with my mom, right? So you always see that dynamic playing out.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
so true. I can see that as well, even though
Yeah.
I don't have any brothers. But, you know, we were split growing up between
Yeah.
our mother and
Sure.
father, you know, as kids. And what happens then is that, especially if that particular parent exhibits positive traits, positive personality traits, you see that as a benchmark to the kinds of relationships that you'd like to have. So
Yeah.
it's essentially really subconsciously we look for our fathers in men and we look for our mothers in women in some kind of way. But sometimes it can get a little bit tricky if your partner needs to live up exactly to the benchmark that your parent or that has set, you know, the precedents that your parent has set. And that's called the high benchmark effect. And we're looking at that in this morning's show. Is it a healthy blueprint or can it unintentionally become pressure towards your partner? Joining us on the line is dating coach Dudu Ntlabati Madonsela. Thank you so much, Dudu, for joining us this morning. How are you doing?
Morning, Palesa and Benjamin. How are you guys?
We're
Doing good.
Thank
It's been
you.
a while since we chatted to you, so we're so glad to have you on the show this morning. Let's chat about this high benchmark. Not everyone, of course, has this high benchmark for their parents, but what does it actually look like?
So, if you look at research, fathers play a very vital role in building the self-esteem of a child. And it's not only girls, actually, with boys too. They become the foundation. I mean, even there's some beliefs, whether they're supported by research or not, especially in the African culture, whereby the view is that the father channels the love he has for his wife through his kids. So in terms of that, having somebody who is a father figure or like, for example, if it's a mother, where if the mother develops, then the child develops. You know, if the mother has a regulated nervous system, the child is more likely to have a regulated nervous system. It's quite important for the development of a child. Now, the question you have in mind is that could we set unrealistic expectations based on the fact that we were loved in a particular way? And the answer is both yes and no. From a no perspective is that if you come from a healthy, loving environment, and I think what happens is that just because parents are together and just because parents are active in parenting, it does not necessarily mean that it equates to the qualities that need to be in place for people to be in a healthy and a loving environment. So sometimes you might be basing your standards based on your parents, but your parents didn't actually create a healthy environment. So you might be setting your standards from a place of scarcity. You might be setting your standards from a place of anxiety. But the yes part is that in terms of if you had a healthy foundation, right, that informs your values. And then your values become the very things that you use in order to make decisions in life. And what you find is that couples who have compatible values, and I'm going to use the word compatible and not necessarily similar values, because our values might not be the same. So, for example, my value number 3, or sometimes we might have very similar values, but the priority of our values might not be the same. So you might be at the life stage where I value family and getting married, while that's value number 5. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're not compatible. But what you find is that when you have compatible values with your partner, the relationship is more likely to work. So the long and short answer is, yes, you might have unrealistic expectations, but you must ask yourself, what is the foundation of those expectations, and scrutinize what you've seen and ask yourself whether that was a really healthy relationship.
Dude, it starts with the small things, usually this benchmark, right? Hey, man, baby, my mother used to cook me, man, this curry mautwana, man. Can you just try do the same thing? Speak to her there, man, and you know what? Get that recipe and start doing that. And it starts with small things, and then over time, that benchmark starts kind of being clear when you want to duplicate a parent in your partner. How do you know that you are starting to work on that habit? Because there's certain things that are not wrong. I don't think asking for a certain curry that your mother made from your partner is a bad thing necessarily. But the line is thin there in terms of the expectations.
Yeah, I think first you have to understand that everyone who enters a relationship wants to be the best expression of themselves, right? Or wants that relationship to allow them to be the best expression of themselves. So you must allow the person to show up the way they want to show up. The minute now your standards and your expectations of that person are such that that person cannot show up the way they're required to show up and as the best version. I use the word the best version because I think now we live in a culture whereby we've normalized that accept me as I am. And sometimes people want to be accepted with their very, very bad habits. And first you have to work on yourself before you go and project on other people. But if you're projecting from a healthy place and you're the best version of yourself and you're committed to growth every single day, you want to be in a relationship that allows you to be that person. So if you're with someone and you feel like this someone feels like they're constrained by your expectations, every time you ask something of them, they feel like you are forcing yourselves or forcing your expectations on them, and you're always making your parent a reference point. I think you need to start taking a step back and asking yourself that, is the expectation as such that I'm trying to, because especially a lot of boys, you'll hear people go about the Limpopo boys, Limpopo boys, bomba, and then bomba this, bomba this, and that and that. What happens is that if your mother or any parent is a primary caregiver that represented safety to you, you want to, because safety is one of the biggest values that needs to be in place in order for a relationship to stay, for people to fall in love and stay in love. So what happens is that you want to bring back that safety element into your relationship. And the only way you understand safety is through the safety that was provided by your mother. So you'd want your partner to now exhibit the traits of your mother because you only have one dimension of safety. And the reason why I answer these questions in such a way is because I want to educate people that, most of the time, when we point out the partner's mistakes, it's like, you do this, you're such a horrible person, you're doing this to me, and so forth. And it doesn't allow the person to reflect and grow and ask themselves why they're doing what they're doing. But if you are saying that you are seeking a certain quality in the relationship, you're seeking a certain feeling, and your mother used to give you that feeling, but you only think that that feeling can be achieved a certain way, and the only way your reference point is your mother, there's a whole different conversation altogether, because then you're saying to a person, I understand that safety is important to you, but can you look at your definition of safety or be flexible about it so that I can demonstrate safety in a manner that is also comfortable to me?
Yeah. All right, let's take a break, Dudu. It's a very interesting one, and I'm particularly interested in how the other partner approaches the situation. It can be quite sensitive because people don't want it to feel like you're saying, hey, I don't want to be like your mother, I don't want to be like your father. And parents can sometimes be a very sensitive topic within relationships. How do you bring up this high benchmark with your partner, and how do you make them understand that, look, I love you and I love you in my own way, but I can't live up to the expectations of being like your parent? We'll continue speaking to dating coach Dudu Ntlabati Madonsela after this.
Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et vos 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.co.za pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Keep Africa in your hands. Connect to our website for all your news, sports, and cultural updates. channelafrica.co.za. Get set and be ready to go. On the Move with Palesa and Benjamin Moshatama.
It's 20 minutes past 9 o'clock Central African time. You are listening to On the Move with myself, Benjamin Moshatama, and Palesa, having this very intriguing conversation with Dudu Ntlabati Madonsela, a dating coach. We're speaking about the high benchmark effect. This is when you make comparison to wanting your partner to be like your parent. Maybe you have a father who's very wealthy, a businessman. He's done very well for himself. He's very well respected in the community. He's a church member who is lauded and pays his tithes. In fact, your father even prays in tongues. And then when you go home, you want your husband to duplicate that man that you highly respect. Is that a good or a bad thing? We continue our conversation with Dudu on this one. That's the thing. Sometimes, Dudu, our parents do have these great qualities. They've achieved certain things that we aspire to. And maybe we like aspirational, right? Around some of the achievements that our parents have actually gone through. And we're like, you know what? I want to actually use my parent as a benchmark of positivity. Is it such a bad thing?
It is. It isn't really. Just think about it. You know, we gravitate towards things that we're familiar with. We hire people like ourselves. We're more likely to befriend people who share similar values to us. I mean, a lot of our decisions and behaviors are anchored in our values, and our values are implanted in a subconscious mind from a very, very young age. You don't even know why you do the things that you do or believe in the things that you do. So it's no surprise that human beings will base their expectation on a partner from what is familiar. And if success is what is familiar, if resourcefulness is what is familiar, for example, I always make a joke. I'm married to a guy who is an introvert and a very, very interesting personality. And most people, when they encounter his personality, they're like, oh, he's so serious, he's so intimidating. I'm like, my dad had a personality Z, the exact personality. And when I met this guy, when everyone else was saying, what's happening? I was like, I know how to deal with this particular person. And for me, that was familiarity, it was comfort, and he had the values that my father had. So it's very natural that people will find themselves in that situation. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but I think that if you do make a choice to date someone or marry someone outside a value system that you're familiar with, you need to allow yourself to say, I'm also going to learn from this person, because as much as we have different value system, it doesn't necessarily mean one value system is better than the other. There's so much to learn from each other, and you must be open to this. And I think what you're seeing, especially in the context of South Africa, whereby the expectation is that the female takes the value system of the partner. You know, now you're married to this guy, or he's going to marry you. You're going to be a Mrs. Matanzela and so forth and whatever. Is that the power dynamics are slightly shifted. So even when you do, I mean, Palesa had a very interesting question. It says, when you do bring up the idea of a parent in a relationship and how that parent is contributing to some of the issues that you have in the relationship and so forth, especially when you're female and you bring this up, now you're seen as you are unappreciative of the fact that you carry the surname, or you are disrespectful to this family, because when we are, when we get married and they are like, you have your aunts and, the whole culture of uyala and so forth and whatever, they say you must go there and be like them. And all of a sudden now you don't want to be like my parents. You don't want to be like these people and so forth. And then because of our cultural background, we see that as disrespect of being unappreciative. And I think people need to be aware of these particular things, because what we're doing right now in South Africa, we're going through a transition point and also defining our identity as a country. And that transition point is informed by the fact that We want to still identify with our cultural roots, but yet we also live in a global system, right? And it's finding an identity within that. And we need to ask ourselves that the expectations that we have in the context of where we find ourselves in, how do we customize it in such a way that we can live in harmony with each other?
Yeah. You know, Dudu, I had a conversation with a friend recently, and they were speaking about how they've really lauded their father all their lives. Their father's such an amazing man. He's been amazing in so many different ways. But now they're old, they're married as well, and they started having a few troubles in their marriage, and they went to go speak to their mother. And only now, as an adult, their mother is telling them that the experience of a father as a couple wasn't actually that amazing. And now it's almost like her whole life was broken down to realize that her father might have been a great father, but wasn't always a great partner. And now we want to take these, personality traits and give them to our partner when we don't actually know whether our mothers and fathers actually had a good relationship, a good romantic relationships among each other. So you're taking the relationship of a child and we want to put it into a romantic relationship as an adult. How do those dynamics come in play?
I think that's such a good point. Unfortunately, we don't grow up in a world where we are taught about relationships. And that doesn't become part of our conditioning, as we grow up. And what people don't realize, always when somebody says, oh, you know what, if your sister-in-law had to complain about your brother, what would you say? And I always say my brother, the sibling, is very different from my brother, the husband, right? And we used to have a system back then and in different cultures all around the world whereby as you were growing up as a young person, whether it's a group of men or a group of women, they would take you under their wing and they would actually help you transition into adulthood and be able to share some of the stories around what it means to be in a relationship and their experiences. Unfortunately, we no longer have that, and for various reasons. We had the AIDS pandemic in South Africa. A lot of adults were lost, the passing down of that knowledge. So a lot of people walk around with the idea of not knowing that as a person, you could be great in a certain relationship and terrible in another relationship. You could be a terrible husband, but a great father. We don't have that as people anymore. And I think the role of people like me in society is to have these conversations with people, to make people aware of them. But I'm very forgiving of people if they come to that realization later in life to say, oh my goodness, I had these unrealistic expectations on my husband, thinking that, my father could do it. But now that in hindsight, when I reflect or when I speak to my mom, it's a whole different reality. I'm very forgiving of that and I'm very understanding of that. But once you know that or you've heard a message like that, I think it's up to us. And unfortunately, I always say, especially the millennials, we are that sacrificial generation. That is that generation that's fixing a whole lot of things that got broken as a result of our history as a nation. And it's up to us now to demonstrate it. And probably that's the only way we could fix something like that.
I mean, we only have 2 minutes to wrap this one up. But one advice you would give us to really watch how we treat our partners when it comes to this benchmarking conversation?
The first thing I always do with couples is that, what is your values? And, this values exercise, you can go online and you can download these. Understand what your values are.
Sure.
Once you understand your values, ask yourself, what are your values informed by? And then once you understand what they're informed by, ask yourself, how do they come across in a relationship? And then scrutinize those values and say, if they come across like this in a relationship, is it fair on the next person? That is probably the best advice I can give in terms of how do you learn how to treat your partner well? And it's based on, everyone has needs. If I want my needs to be met in a relationship, how do I do it in such a way that the person also feels like they can show up as the best version of themselves?
Great advice there. Dudu, where can people find you online? Do you have any platforms where we should check out and get more advice from you?
As serious, as structured as I am, I go as the peaceful one on social media.
Yeah.
And follow me at your own risk.
Absolutely. I think it's a good risk because you give good advice. Thank you for joining us, Dudu.
Okay, thank you.
Fantastic. That's Dutun Tlabati Madonsela, a dating coach. What do you think about that conversation? A benchmark? Maybe you use your parents as one. What's your take, Bali?
Yeah, no, it's a very strange one because the benchmark that you have was your relationship as a mother or father and child, not as a couple. So maybe you should do a little bit more research on how that partner was or how that parent was as a partner before you benchmark them to your own partner.
Yeah, well, let's quickly move on right now. Give us your thoughts on that conversation on our live stream, or you can WhatsApp us on our WhatsApp number +27 63 406 9126. That's our WhatsApp number +27 63 406 9126. Let's move on right now and get our sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
It's a very good morning from the sports desk. I am Musibu Dimakura with the latest sports news at the Sawa. So Cote d'Ivoire head coach Emre Faye has named his 26-man squad for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations tournament, with Wilfried Zaha making a surprise return and Simon Andingra missing out on the squad. The announcement was made on Tuesday as the defending champions confirmed the squad that will take on Morocco. The returning Zaha is included for the very first time in nearly 2 years, after impressing with Charlotte FC in the Major League Soccer out in the USA, scoring about 10 goals and also providing 6 assists this season. Now, Jean-Michel Seri also recalled returns after a long injury layoff. However, the absence of Brighton Hove Albion winger Simon Andingra is one of the headline omissions. Andingra, who was a breakout figure at the 2023 AFCON tournament, has struggled for playing time at Sunderland this season, featuring only 9 times. Faye said competition for his position was very strong and that he had to prioritize players with greater continuity in club football. Cote d'Ivoire enter this year's tournament in Group F alongside Cameroon, Gabon, as well as Mozambique. Well, Uganda are the first nation to arrive in Morocco ahead of the Africa Cup of Nations tournament, touching down in Casablanca on Monday evening to begin an 11-day intensive preparation program. Now, the early arrival underscores head coach Paul Patt's decision, or rather determination, should I say, to give the Cranes their best possible chance in what is expected to be one of the most demanding campaigns in the nation's AFCON history. Uganda, who named their provincial squad, a 30-man squad, this past weekend, will train in Morocco and play 2 friendly matches before the tournament begins on the 21st of December. The Federation has not yet announced the opponents for the warm-up fixtures, but the emphasis is on fine-tuning a physical conditioning, tactical and squad cohesion after a competitive qualifying phase. The Cranes are returning to the continental stage for the very first time since 2019, and their assignment in Morocco places them in a very challenging group alongside the Super Eagles of Nigeria, Tunisia, as well as Tanzania. Further field now, Chelsea's hopes of qualifying automatically for the Champions League knockout stages were dealt a major blow as Atalanta came from behind to win 2-1 in Bergamo last night. Now, both sides went into this game with identical records in the league phase of this year's tournament, having won 3, drawn 1 and lost 1 to sit on 10 points. The result means Chelsea drop outside of the top 8, the places that qualify automatically for the knockout stages, to 11th, with 2 league phase games remaining. Atalanta, meanwhile, leap up to 3rd position, 3 points ahead of the Blues. This was a hugely disappointing result for Chelsea, as even a draw was keeping them well placed to secure a top 8 finish they need to avoid the lottery of the playoffs. Let's hear from Enzo Maresca, the manager at Chelsea.
Yeah, I think first half we were winning. We were good, controlling the game. Probably the 2 goals we conceded in short time, 2 easy goals that we can both avoid that. But in this moment it's like this. We need just to try to, as soon as possible, to try to win games again.
On to tennis news now. The world number 1 Arina Sabalenka weighed into the participation of transgender athletes in women's sport, saying it would be unfair for women to face biological men in professional tennis. The WTA transgender participation policy currently permits transgender women to participate if they have declared their gender as female for a minimum of 4 years. have lowered testosterone levels and also agreed to testing procedures. Now, these conditions may be further varied by the WTA medical manager on a case-by-case basis. Let's hear what Sabalenga had to say about this issue.
And I have nothing to do against them, but I feel like they still got huge advantage over the woman, and I think it's just not fair to a woman to basically face like the biologically man, and then it's it's not fair. Like the woman been working the whole life to reach her limit, and then she has to face like a man, like which biologically much stronger. So for me, I don't agree with this kind of stuff in sport.
And finally, Helmut Marko, the mentor as well as the major ally of 4 times Formula One world champion Max Verstappen, is leaving the Red Bull team after 20 years as motorsport consultant to the Energy drink brand. The 82-year-old Austrian, a Grand Prix racer back in the 1970s and a close confidant to the team's founder Dietrich Mateschitz, who died back in 2022, also headed the Red Bull Junior program. In that role, he helped bring 20 drivers into Formula One, where Red Bull have 2 teams, including champions Sebastian Vettel as well as Max Verstappen. Meanwhile, Verstappen thanked Marko in a social media post for his contributions he made to his career. And with that concludes your sports news this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, our email address is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628.
Je, una jambo lolote akilini mwako? Je, una shauku kuhusu masuala muhimu? Na je, una maoni ambayo unataka yasikike? Kweli, hili jukwaa ni la kwako. Piga simu au tuandikie kwenda WhatsApp namba alama ya kujumulisha 2760552594 na tutakupigia simu.
Mtangazaji wa habari zetu za Afrika Kusini mjini Johannesburg.
Hivyo unaweza kuwa mshirika kwenye matangazo yetu. Sio mazungumzo tu, ni fursa yako ya kuchangia maoni yako na kushirikiana na jumuiya ya wasikilizaji wanaotamani mtazamo wako. Tufuate kwenye mitandao ya kijamii. Tembelea tovuti yetu www.channelafrica.co.za na uwe tayari kushiriki na kuchangia maoni yako kwenye Channel Africa. Channel Africa, mtazamo wa Kiafrika.
Thank you, Musibudi. Let's move on and get our latest business news now.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Palesa, and good morning. Chinese exports to Africa are projected to exceed $200 billion by 2025, driven by the ongoing trade tensions with the United States. In the first 8 months of the year, China exported goods valued at $122 billion to Africa, while Africa's exports to China reached $87 billion, a 2.3% increase, resulting in a trade deficit of nearly $60 billion for Africa. The primary imports from China include machinery, heavy equipment, automobiles, and metal products. Director and Chief Economist Dr. Azar Jamin.
Africa is basically running a massive current account deficit. Money is flowing out of the continent in order to purchase machinery and equipment or other goods from China, and ultimately what it means is that African countries will see their currencies depreciating sharply, and that being inflationary, resulting in higher interest rates than would otherwise have been necessary.
And the Ethiopian Capital Market Authority, ECMA, has finalized the legal and regulatory framework for foreign investor participation in its capital market, with an announcement expected soon. The government has also submitted its fourth review for the International Monetary Fund, IMF, extended credit facility, anticipating a staff-level agreement shortly. Founder and CEO of Pragma Investment Advisory, Mered Fikir Johannes, explains.
This is a huge milestone. I think the let me put it this way. It is a huge milestone because, mind you, 5 decades ago, we used to have a capital market and foreign investors used to participate in it, but it was not formalized. But now, after 5 decades, now the regulator has been working very hard to establish the market. The market infrastructure is there. The companies are already being registered, dematerializing their securities, and ahead of the game, the authority is taking the lead, the initiative at the same time to say that, listen, guys, we want the foreign investors to come in and also invest, and we're already preparing the regulation.
And Kenya's central bank has lowered its benchmark lending rate by 25 basis points to 9.0%, marking its 9th consecutive cut to encourage bank lending and foster economic growth. Despite the steady annual growth of about 5%, risks such as potential drought are on the horizon. The bank maintains its growth forecast for the current and next year at 5.2% and 5.5% respectively, while annual inflation is at a manageable 4.5%. And the Democratic Alliance Party in South Africa has confirmed that its lawyers have written to the city of Johannesburg to demand urgent answers to its agreement with the South African Municipal Workers Union, SAMWU. The agreement, which the party has described as politically facilitated and misleading, commits the city to an unfounded $581 million obligation until 2027. The DA has also questioned the timing given Johannesburg's struggle to deliver basic services and its finances. The DA Johannesburg caucus leader is Belinda Kesa Echiozonjuko.
One of the concerns we have is that someone has been on the news having press conferences talking about the 10 billion rand commitment that is a facilitated agreement as if it is a confirmed and firm commitment. That is a done deal already, and this is committing the city to money that it does not have. If this is the case, then there must be a forensic investigation. But first, we have asked our lawyers to get that information for us, failing which obviously we'll weigh our legal options as well.
And oil prices remained stable following a 1% decline in the previous session, with Brent crude at $62.13 and West US Texas Intermediate at $58.44 per barrel. Investors are monitoring Russia-Ukraine peace talks and anticipating a US interest rate decision. According to DBS bank analyst Suvro Sakar, oil markets are directionless despite a slight boost from a declining US inventories. API reported a drop of 4.78 million barrels in U.S. crude inventories, while gasoline and distillate stocks rose. The Federal Reserve is expected to cut interest rates, which could enhance oil demand by fostering economic growth. And a look at your financial indicators. One US dollar in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 451. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 18. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 33, and in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 10. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 43. Russia, it's 78 rubles 82. India, it's 89 rupees 92, while in China, it's 70 yuan 6, and in South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rands 4 cents. $1 is trading at 75 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. A look at your commodities. Gold is trading at $4,205 and platinum at $1,678 per ounce, while the price of Brent crude oil is at $62.10 a barrel. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business News, I am Matabala Mahape.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Download the SABC app and take Channel Africa with you everywhere you go. Channel Africa is evolving, and so are you. Stay connected wherever you are with our brand new website and mobile app. Stream your favorite shows, catch up on African news, culture, and conversations, all at your fingertips.
Africa's just a tap away.
Your world, your stories, now on the go.
Stay connected wherever you are.
Visit channelafrica.co.za or download the Channel Africa app today. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Nkhanza zokhudza amuna ndi azimayi kapena kuti gender based violence GBV zikuononga mioyo komanso kuphwasula midzi zikuchitika m'manyumba, m'masukulu, malo ogwirira ntchito ndipo kwambiri mwakachetechete koma sizikuyenera kupitirira. Mukazimva yankhulani, ngati mwakhuzidwa funani chithandizo chifukwa kusachita chilichonse sikuthandiza. Mverani kuma wireless onse 14 a SABC kuchokera lachitatu pa 23 mwezi uno wa Julai kuti mumve zokambirana, malangizo, masewero, zionetsero za maphunziro ndi mafunso okhuza nkhanza za amuna ndi azimayi ndi akatswiri, anthu opulumuka ku nkhanzazi, kukhazikitsa lamulo komanso dziko lonse lokhuzidwa ndi nkhanzazi. Zonsezi pa wireless yomwe mumayikonda ya SABC. Imbirani pa nambala 0800 428 428 kuti munene za nkhanzazi kapena kupeza chithandizo. Nkhanza zokhuza amuna ndi azimayi zimatha ndi inu. Uthenga ukufikani kuchokera ku SABC.
The rhythm of Africa, the pulse of the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African perspective.
And I couldn't see I was cheating on me.
Me, I just want me, my people, they visa. So I give them my heart and my liver. If you too stress, you make you leave her. Don't be everybody be believer. Anytime that I pull up, I deliver. Anytime, any arena, I be caught on like Jesus. Before you start to criticize, consider,
And I couldn't see I was cheating on me. And I couldn't see I was cheating on
me. I just want to see my people them getting big out. I swear down, make embassy no deny my people visa out. No be Taliban, no be Al-Qaeda, and they do nothing tend to permanently leave town. Stand with my feet down, me I be leader. So me a new lad, different caliber, taking my niggas around the world every day. Kilometer. Just like I'm deep down, then you could see, say they your body, no be because of me. Now psychology, say psychology, they affect everybody, now me.
And I couldn't see I was
cheating on me.
And I couldn't see I was cheating on me.
For the fact I had to fight for my visa, I'm swiping my visa. Kill on shell, I say kilogram, kilometer. My woman got incredible features. Me and the Lua burner, we fly to Ibiza. You know the nine, me my visa. Bring a little girl, a little reefer. It's cheaper to keep her. She don't wanna stay, I feel leave her. No be everybody be believer. Hennessy, Casamigos, it's all in a car. I'm at Samoa Jan, the way I hit the bar. Fine boy, no pimple, no tats. I got a V12 under the bonnet. She got plaits. I'm Mario, my princess. Got a peach in my Rolls Royce seats. Her and peach in the villa must I come with a beach. One for the street, 4-5. This toast doesn't come with a speech, you know.
And I couldn't see I was cheating on me. And I couldn't see I was cheating on me.
Me, I just want me, my people, they visa. So I give them my heart and my liver. If you too stress, you make you leave her. Don't be everybody be believer. Anytime that I pull up, I deliver. Anytime, any arena, I be caught on like Jesus. Before you start to criticize, consider. If I ever said I love you, then I'll always be by your side. If you call on me, then I'll slide. You already know we outside, and I know you gon' ride. Anytime I talk on you, if I ever said I love you.
All right, this is Burn a Boy featuring Dave on this one. Cheat on Me. It's 9:48 Central Africa time. Having a very interesting conversation about using your parents as a benchmark for your partner.
Yeah.
So if your parent was there for you, was such a great parent, so whether it's the father or the mother, and you want your partner to be exactly like that, can cause a lot of confusion in a relationship.
And I think we do it unconsciously,
That's
right?
true.
Because, you know, we are raised the way that we are raised. We do come from certain family ideals with a certain type of way of wanting our relationship to look like, and the projections that we made come from our backgrounds. And so when you do make that kind of projection to your partner, it's probably because you're also not aware.
Yeah.
But, you know, these are things we need to be more conscious of.
We do need to be more conscious, but we also have to have more conversations, right, within the relationship, because if the partner starts feeling it, they should be able to have, an open door to say, yeah, I've been getting this kind of communication from you, and I just want to talk about your expectations and how I can't just meet some of them.
Yeah.
And I also just want to arrive as myself in the relationship, even though I understand that, your parents did such a great job with you. I am myself, and I don't want to live up to all those expectations. Let us know what you think about that conversation. At Channel Africa 1 is where you can find us on X, TikTok, Instagram, and of course on our live stream, Facebook, and our live stream on YouTube as well. Don't forget to comment. We'd love to hear what you have to say.
Mix Vibration sur Channel Africa.
Qu'est-ce qui vous a amené à dire ça? Est-ce que vous avez observé un certain nombre d'événements dans la vie? Est-ce que c'était par rapport à une expérience? Est-ce que vous avez rencontré des choses qui vous ont dit il faut de la patience, comme ça les choses vont venir au bon moment et le bon Dieu pourra peut-être me visiter?
Oui, c'était justement un conseil que le Seigneur m'avait inspiré pour donner à son peuple, parce qu'il y a la plupart des gens, pendant que Dieu bénit les autres, ils pensent que Dieu les a oubliés, et pendant que Dieu ouvre pour les autres, ils pensent que peut-être Dieu n'a pas pu écouter leurs prières. Alors, ce n'est pas le cas. Alors, Dieu bénit tout un chacun de nous avec son temps. Donc, le temps de Dieu est toujours le meilleur dans la vie de tout un chacun de nous.
Mix Vibration, tous les dimanches de 18h à 19h, temps universel.
No fairy tales, just the facts and the music you love on Channel Africa.
le cash, asifuna le stash. Asifuna mamita, asifuna mabita, asifuna magumba. Sonke, asifuna magumba. Eyawele. Ebati tina, asifuna le mali, asifuna le cash, asifuna le stash. Asifuna mamita, asifuna mabita, asifuna magumba. Sonke, asifuna magumba. Eyawele.
Remember, we used to call it chakura. Now they call it magumba. It's all the money, money.
Yeah, no, all of them just mean money, and it's all what we need. It's exactly what we need.
Absolutely. That's Cade Air with PKMZ and Kate taking us to 55 minutes past 9 o'clock Central African time. Do you feel the weight of just doing something out of repetition, right? You just keep doing it over and over again, and you're like, you know what? I've got this habit, and I'm always on TikTok, Bali.
Yeah,
I think that one's for you.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I will not deny. I am always on TikTok.
And you're like, you know what? This habit is just continuing indeed. How do I cleanse myself from this one? We're going to be speaking about dopamine detox, where people are saying, you know what? I'm going to take this lifestyle decision and I'm going to snooze my social media. Maybe I do too many things in a day. I'm going to navigate how I actually structure my day. And some people are always working, meetings. I need to be out and about networking. I have to, always on the move. How do you actually slow things down? And I think that's a good time right now in December to revisit some of these bad habits. So we're going to be speaking about that. How do you get that dopamine detox and how do you go about it?
Yeah, it's a very important one, especially if you're someone that knows that you can't pull yourself away from those particular habits. See, I love TikTok. I'm always on TikTok, and I love just scrolling through it, sometimes quite mindlessly, but I do make time every day to be away from my phone and do other things that help me concentrate, that help me ground, that help me remember who I am. So it's almost like a small kind of dopamine detox on a daily basis, just receiving maybe that dopamine from some other activity that has nothing to do with a screen, a TV, a phone, anything like that. But many people don't have that time in a day to actually regroup and think about things and remove themselves from some of those daily habits that we already have. And so it can accumulate over time that you've always forgotten now how to live without that particular thing. So addiction is exactly like that, right? It's a dopamine habit. It's a fix, right? And we're fixed to so many things. It doesn't just have to be things that go in our bodies. So how do you actually do that dopamine detox? We'll be chatting about that in the next hour of the show. Stay with us and of course catch our live stream on Facebook, Channel Africa. That's what you can search on our Facebook page, and of course catch it as well on our YouTube page. Channel Africa 1 is what you have to search. There's a comment section there where we can interact together.
Hey, this is Magix. This one is titled Love Don't Cost a Dime, featuring the lovely Area Star.
Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa on the move.
Baby, now the way that you talk and the things that you say, where they make I feel alright. And I catch your vibe anytime that I look in your face. Tell me why you look so fine. Baby girl, I see you. Wanna ride you like a bicycle. Now you they blow my mind from a mile or two. And I no go lie, you light up my day. And when she tell me my love is you love, baby. She know when the Gucci bag or the Fendi. Yeah, she give me butterflies in my belly. Ooh, Lord. And when she tell me my love is you love, baby. If I was Johnny, baby, she go save me. Yeah, she give me butterflies in my belly. Ooh, Lord. Your love is crazy, girl, your love is crazy. You amaze me, girl, you amazing. All the girls them only really want to play me. But when me there with you, I realize love don't cost nothing. The love is crazy. You amaze me, girl, you amazing. All the girls them only really want to play me. But when me there with you, I realize love don't cost nothing.
Best indeed, you're the best indeed. When I see you, I feel blessed indeed. Only you bring out the best in me. Loving you, it be my destiny. Oh no, Father, I don't know if you love me like I do. Now you dey light my fire too. Don't know if
I want you to be my love, is you love, baby.
Love don't cost a thing. I'm not sure if that is true, but that's the song, right?
Doesn't cost a thing. Love is love, man.
I'm not sure about that one. Magic's featuring Ira Star on this one. It's 10 a.m. Central Africa time. Let's bring back Jolane Tulongwe for our latest news.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Palesa. Top stories. Asawa, the UN High Commissioner for Refugees warns Sudan's troubles could spill over to other countries and thousands forced to flee as Thailand and Cambodia's border conflict escalates. Good morning. UN High Commissioner for Refugees Filippo Grandi has warned advances by paramilitary rapid support forces in Sudan could trigger another exodus across the country's borders. The RSF took over Darfur's city of Al Fasher in late October in one of the biggest gains of the 2.5-year war with Sudan's army. This month, advances have continued eastward into Kordofan region and they seized the country's biggest oil field. Most of the estimated 40,000 people that the United Nations says have been displaced by the latest violence in Kordofan have sought refuge within the country. Grandi says that could change if violence spreads to a large city like Al Obeid. 2 senior military officials abducted during Sunday's failed coup attempt in Benin have been freed. The chief of the army staff and the head of the National Guard were rescued in an intelligence-led operation in the city of Chiru. Security forces are still searching for the coup leader and other plotters. Tabiso Lehoko reports.
The 2 senior Benin army officers were among the several officials detained during the brief but tense uprising by a group of soldiers in the capital Cotonou. The search is still underway for the coup leader, Lieutenant Colonel Pascal Tigri, and other fugitive officers. Benin had earlier requested urgent assistance from neighboring Nigeria, which said it launched military strikes and deployed troops to help secure the capital. The West African Regional Standby Force is now on the ground, guarding key installations as authorities work to restore calm.
South Africa's Arts and Culture Deputy Minister Peace Mabi will today lead the national commemoration of the 29th anniversary of the signing of the Constitution in Sharpeville. In the document had been signed in Sharpeville, where residents are still healing from the atrocities committed in their area during the apartheid era. They include the killing of 69 people and the wounding of 180 others in a shooting incident involving police and the army in March 1960 in what is today known as the Sharpeville Massacre. The department spokesperson Cynthia Chaka.
This milestone returns the country to a place that symbolizes both the pain of apartheid and the moral resolve that shaped the democratic transition. Sharpeville is central to the nation's constitutional journey. In 1960, peaceful protesters who rejected the pass laws faced deadly force, exposing to the world the cruelty of a system built on racial oppression. In 1996, President Nelson Mandela chose this very community for the signing of the democratic constitution, cementing Sharpeville as a site of remembrance, accountability, and national renewal.
President of the African National Congress Party in South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, has encouraged citizens to engage in the National Dialogue consultative process. Ramaphosa says the same spirit which was used to consult and draft the Freedom Charter must be used with the National Dialogue. The first National Dialogue Convention took place in August this year, while the second is expected to take place next year. Ramaphosa was speaking at the 17th anniversary of the Freedom Charter in Boksburg in Ekurhuleni.
The National Dialogue seeks to bring all South Africans together to discuss the challenge that our country is facing and to define a common vision of a shared future. in public dialogues that will take place in every ward in the country, as I said yesterday, and in which will be organized in every sector. Citizens will be able to put forward their concerns, their wishes, but more importantly, their suggestions and solutions on how we can build a better country.
Officials say almost 300,000 people have been forced from their homes in Thailand and Cambodia. As the border conflict escalates, Thailand's foreign ministry has warned against Washington using tariff threats to force the resumption of peace talks. The BBC's Jonathan Head has the story.
In the last 36 hours, there have been sustained rocket attacks coming from the Cambodian side. According to the Thai military, thousands of rockets have been fired, many more on Tuesday than on Monday. That means it's not safe. Those rockets are an inaccurate weapon. In the previous conflict, they killed a number of civilians. So in advance of that, in preparation, people were very quickly moved away from those border villages. They're small-scale farmers. They've had to leave their livestock behind, their homes behind.
Recapping the top story, the SAWA UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Filippo Grandi, has warned advances by paramilitary rapid support forces in Sudan could trigger another exodus across the country's borders. For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Cholani Tulo Wepe.
SABC News. The African Perspective. Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802. On the Move with Benjamin and Palesa every weekday on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
All right, we're moving into that second hour of the show. This is the Wednesday edition of On the Move. You with myself, Benjamin Moshatama, and Palesa. Hey, don't forget that you can find us on many places here on Channel Africa. There's different ways to just check us out. So don't be shy. Remember, we are always live, and you can just tune in when you want to have that African experience. Remember, we're on www.channelafrica.co.za. We're also on DSTV channel 802, OpenView 628. Those are the audio bouquet channels to check us on. But we also have an app that you can also download. Remember, that app is right there in any app store, and it's operating via iOS or Android. So you can just download it, and you can have Channel Africa right in the pocket of your phone. So it's a great way to check us out, and you can come directly and listen to us on that app.
Yeah, it's time for the second hour conversation. Can you sit still? Can you just sit still? No, not on your phone, not on the TV. In fact, not even meditating or journaling, just sitting there with nothing in the background and no hand fidgeting, no feet fidgeting.
I'm getting anxious the more you just continue.
I know. It sounds a little bit.
Getting me paranoid.
That's because many of us are always doing something, and we've gotten so used to doing something, keeping our brains active, that it's actually pouring in small amounts of feel-good hormones known as dopamine in our body. So whether you're doom scrolling on your phone, whether you're going to watch a series, moving from that into something else, once again, your phone always in your hand. Today we're going to try and detox from that behavior, doing something with an idea called the dopamine detox. What exactly is it? Is it possible? And how does it change you? How does it regulate your nervous system? And how does it give you maybe new things that you can try and bring your mind to doing? We'll be chatting about that in just a bit, and we'll be bringing in Dr. Nobulali Dangezele, who is a lecturer at the Gordon Institute of Business Science, to chat to us about that.
Yeah, we're looking forward to all those conversations indeed. Remember, stay in touch with us as a Channel African. We want you to be part of the Channel Africa family at Channel Africa One, all the platforms where you can find us here on Channel Africa. So right now, let's take a bit of a break and then we'll come back with our conversations. Hey, it's going to be a good one.
Africa. It's time to plug into the heartbeat of the continent. Tune in to Channel Africa, your go-to radio station that broadcasts in 5 different languages.
L'Afrique du Sud célèbre la journée nationale du
Kabla hujaitwa kwa jina la Double K or more of our forests have been destroyed.
Tamo kutuli bwanji ndi Partido Africano da Independência da Guiné.
See, Channel Africa represents every corner of this amazing land. From Lagos to Cape Town, Nairobi to Dakar, we've got you covered with the freshest news, music, and cultures. So, turn up the volume, feel the rhythm. And join the conversation. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Ahoy, matey!
Captain here to help, right, boys?
Set sail with us on a digital voyage like no other. Channel Africa has a treasure trove of awesomeness. That is our website and social media pages.
Tell me, why are you here?
We want you to be part of our adventure.
The winds are changing, Captain. And this time...
Imagine a world where curiosity knows no bounds, where entertainment meets enlightenment, and where every click leads to the African perspective. Visit us on our website, www.channelafrica.co.za, or follow us on Instagram or on X at Channel Africa One. Go on, like us on Facebook at Channel Africa One. So, spread the word. Tell a friend that Channel Africa's online variety is what they need on the web. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Step into the heart of the day on the move with Palesa and Benjamin.
Hey, slowing down is not easy when there are so many things that are calling for our attention, social media, streaming platforms, our lives, our children. So many things are saying, hey, I want you here. And how do you actually slow down? In fact, it is an addiction to keep going, right? To keep scrolling, to keep wanting those notifications, to be waiting for that call. How do you say, you know what? I'm tired of this distraction. This is actually overwhelming me. How do I find myself in a place where there's a little bit more of quietness? There's this idea called dopamine detox that has emerged as a response to the fast-paced world that we live in. It's not necessarily a medical cleanse, but it's a lifestyle reset. Well, we're going to be speaking on this with our guest right now. We're joined by the lecturer at the Gordon Institute of Business Science, Dr. Nobulali Dangazele, who's going to help us on this conversation. Dr. Nobulali, thank you for joining us here on Channel Africa.
Good morning to you all, and thank you so much for having me.
It's tough, right? We're all competing for a space to get attention. Look, we are broadcasters here, and we want people to stream us. We want people to listen to us. We're having this conversation, but there's so many conversations that are happening on many platforms that are calling for our attention. In fact, even our lives get so busy that we never find that place and space to actually reset and quiet down a little bit more. Should we just accept the status quo of now? Because it seems like technology wants us for itself, and also it seems like the busyness just keeps grabbing our attention.
I would certainly say no. We are not carnal individuals. We are human beings with a sense of urgency, but also the ability to make our own decisions. And if the world and where it is going is anything to go by, the fact that social media has become something that is going to be made illegal for under 16s in Australia is testament to why it's important for us to actually instead put up greater measures on how we use our cell phones, but also how we engage with social media. Because, truth be told, it is a digital form of cocaine. And even when social media and the use of, for example, doom scrolling was invented, it was so that it can bypass some of the things that we've got in place naturally as human beings that have been enablers for us to actually perform in the way that we have. So I would say it might be a moment of reckoning for us, those that are and those that are not parents, to actually ask ourselves and say, if this is something that is becoming illegal for under 16s, should it be legal even for over 60s to engaging in social media at the pace that we're doing, especially taking into cognizance that on the one hand, we're no longer using the analog aspect of our mind as much as we did. And then on the other side, we're also losing elements of critical thinking in the use of, in the wake of generative AI. So I would definitely say it's a no from Dr. Tangazele, and that's my professional opinion. Yeah.
All right, we're speaking about the concept called a dopamine detox. And for those who might not understand, let's speak about why this is called a dopamine detox. What is dopamine and how does it factor into this conversation?
So, just for clarification, lest I get misquoted, I'm not that kind of doctor.
Yes.
I'm a doctor in strategy.
Yes.
But that being said, dopamine is a chemical that drives our motivation. It basically helps us seek our reward. But when it's flooded in the way that social media does with micro rewards from various notifications and various ways in which, for example, take YouTube. It used to be a long form type of video format, but now
Yeah.
it's on board what TikTok does and gives us the YouTube shorts, right? And the reason for this is because the brain now wants that dopamine hit. And as opposed to long form, where your dopamine hit might come in longer cycles, with that short form video used on TikTok, as well as Instagram Reels, as well as YouTube Shorts, what that does is it's actually now giving us a micro dosage of constantly us having dopamine. And this dopamine, unfortunately, gives us these like spikes, similar to having a cold drink that's got a lot of sugar. It makes us, or eating a pastry that's got a lot of, energy enriching fats that just make us
Sounds yummy, doctor.
No,
Don't tempt Benjamin with this one.
Look, but at the end of the day, dopamine could be seen as a shot of something that basically makes an individual hyper in how they think, how they physically react, but also how their energy levels increase. And the brain is fooled into thinking that this is a positive stimuli, whereas it's actually one that is just pushing and pushing and pushing your brain further and further into an abyss, as it does eventually cause for you to crash when you do come down, similar to a drug.
Mm-hmm. Doctor, I love the fact that you made comparison to a very crusty, meaty pie, because it's yummy, right? It's something that you can easily go back to that, garage store and buy over and over again in different moments because you just crave it. And that's the thing about dopamine. You keep wanting more and more and more. How do you actually see that, I've got a problem here? Because dopamine doesn't hit you the same way as you getting a high from a drug. It actually hits you subconsciously in ways that you don't know and are not conscious of. So are there ways that we can know, just in terms of the pattern of how we structure our day and how we live our lives, that we can say, I've got a problem here?
So just to go back to that crusty pie, if you compare seven colors yesterday, which to those from our neighboring countries and the rest of our African continent, we have something in South Africa where we call it seven colors, but apparently it's several colors, and that's where it comes from. And when you compare eating a hearty meal that's been made with love compared to a convenience store made pie, I love pies, but you can't eat that on a daily basis. Imagine that taking the dopamine that is induced by your cell phone is almost like saying, I'm actually going to have a pie every day for breakfast. What would your body look like? What would your day look like? What would your tummy look like? And the irony of dopamine is that the more stimulation we consume, the less satisfied we actually feel, because we've trained our crave the next small hit instead of enjoying the present task. So some of the daily activities that I recommend. So I actually got this invitation because I did a digital detox in the month of October. So there's something called
Okay.
sober. And as opposed to me doing an alcohol focused sober, because I hardly drink, I knew that actually my drug of choice, intentional use of the word drug, is actually the digital screens and social media. So I actually took on the task to say every year in October, I'm going to do a digital detox and I'm going to enable myself to just reset my systems. And what I found is by, for example, exercising, so the win starts in the night. I always make sure that I practice what is called sleep hygiene. So I don't sleep in the same room that my cell phone is in. I stop using all screens at a certain time so that I've got about 90 to 180 minutes of unstimulated time. I usually would then journal and I would read. And the reason for this is writing is an analog activity. Reading a physical book is actually also an analog activity. And what this does is it starts taking away the spikes that you get from social media and the spikes that you get from the dopamine. But it actually also enhances to the type of sleep you have as it increases to the sleep that you have. So I don't have any screens then in my bedroom. But then what that does is it means when I wake up, I'm not then immediately using my cell phone, which lowers my creativity, lowers my attention span. And you know what? After a month of not using social media and not using my phone for more than 3 hours a day, because I've even got this as proof. I even use what is called a phone prison because I must override what we call self-discipline. That doesn't
Yeah.
work. And what I'm using there is a nudge approach to saying it's better to change your environment rather than trying to change your behavior, because there's little nudges in your environment that align with the behavior that you
Yeah.
want to create. So I always look before I start my digital detox, I'll start looking at my environment and say, what is it that I need to take away that actually fosters this lifestyle of being dependent on my digital um, devices and the likes. And then I also give a warning to my friends and family. I let them know
Yeah.
so that I can be socially accountable.
All
But
right,
then I also
Doctor, I'm going to stop you there for a bit. We need to take a
Yeah,
break
that
and we'll come
experience
back.
sounds very
I
interesting
think
and
it's an
unique.
amazing example, and we'd love to hear more of not just that example, but other ways that we can implement this dopamine detox in our lives as well. We'll continue this conversation after the break.
Channel Africa is evolving, and so are you. Stay connected wherever you are with our brand new website and mobile app. Stream your favorite shows, catch up on African news, culture, and conversations, all at your fingertips.
Africa is just a tap away.
Your world, your stories, now on the go.
Stay connected wherever you are.
Visit channelafrica.co.za or download the Channel Africa app today. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Keeping you on the know and on the move.
It's 10:22 Central Africa time. A really interesting concept that we're unpacking this morning called the dopamine detox, where you let go of, your habitual things that you do on a daily, the doom scrolling, the watching TV, even if it's also listening to music when you just can't sit still and do things that you can. And helping us with this conversation is Dr. Nobulali Dangazele, lecturer at the Gordon Institute of Business Science. You are giving us an incredible example of how you've implemented this dopamine detox in your life by removing phone time during the evening, and you were also expressing some of the benefits that you've seen from that. You may continue, Dr. Nobulali.
So there have been a multitude of benefits that I gained from doing my digital detox, and they vary from physical, but even some of them being social. So some of the things that I recognized with myself is I was less lethargic during the course of the week, because I'm not using my phone at the tail end and the top end of my day. I found that I'm actually a lot more creative and my journaling improves. And the hobbies that I have, like writing, as well as reading and actually speaking to people rather than texting them or sending them memes or sending them videos, increased. So it improved the quality of my relationships and friendships as well. But also, what I started noticing is I had started thinking, Wuti, hold on, do I have like depressive thoughts? And sometimes am I actually experiencing a season of potential seasonal depression? And I realized it's not the case. I'm actually experiencing so much stimulation that when I'm on a normal state of being, I feel abnormally low because nothing is augmenting my happiness. So then I joined a netball club, and I started
Oh, that's
moving so that.
cool.
Yes. And it completely started transforming. It's almost like the 1% rule and the knock-on effects. Like you changed one thing and then this one begets this and then that one begets that. And by the end of October, I must say I actually start feeling like not coming back. It took me almost 15 days into November for me to post my first WhatsApp status post and LinkedIn post again because I was just like, I love it so much here in my happy space. What are the actual gains of going back? And I might actually do intermittent fasting of my digital devices in December because it actually becomes worse in December when you see how awesome everybody's Christmas is, how boring
That's
yours is.
true.
And it's just
Yeah.
a highlight reel of what they're doing, not their reality.
Yeah, absolutely. As you speak, I feel like you gained so much time. You're kind of the things that you're speaking about are things that need you to actually have time. And I think that's what happens with this dopamine fix. It takes away time away from us. How was that experience of seeing that actually I've got this luxury called time?
You hit the nail on the head. So, part of the accountability component of the digital detox is I ask everyone that is on the journey with me to send a weekly screenshot of their screen time. Now, this is almost like, that weight loss journey where you stand on the scale. And it was incredible watching people that went from being on their phones for 13 hours a day. 13 hours a day. You do the math. How much time is that a week? It's actually working 2 extra jobs, if not 3 per week, if the weekly time that you spend at work is 35 to 40 hours. So you're gaining back almost like 2 days a week, number one. And then secondly, by you seeing that it's decreasing daily, what I would ask is the time that is decreasing, we'd have 3 to 4 goals that we set for the month, and you need to spend the time that you would, the one that you said you don't have, you take that time and you transfer it to that. So I found that people were now actually a lot more creative. So some people wrote new proposals for their business. I got to finish writing a play that I had been delaying for some time,
Oh,
but I
nice.
also to write a business case study. I was also able to realize that I do actually have time. I started baking. I know it seems small, but
Yeah.
going from being on your phone to baking, it says, firstly, my home smells better. I'm eating better. I'm making choices. I'm also using my hands. I'm engaging with my inner child. And all of that then improves and enhances to my quality of life, but also socially, bringing cakes to people and seeing their glee. That became the dopamine. Sitting and having a cup of tea. I have this couch in this room, but I never sit on it. And I started saying, some of the time that I was spending on my phone, I'm gonna sit on my couch and not do anything.
Yeah.
I don't have a TV, fortunately. So I stopped watching stuff when I sat there and I started picking up a book. And as a result, I read more, I engaged more, but also my attention span and the quality of work I was delivering at work actually improved. And my sleep improved
I
because I
love
was
that.
sleeping.
Yeah. So what are some of the different ways that we can implement this detox in our life, this dopamine detox? I mean, you gave a great example with you and the phone. Are there any other examples that you can give us that we can implement in trying to get into this dopamine detox?
Certainly. So going cold turkey is what we do when we do the full digital detox. But what you can do is also have pockets of digital detoxes. So for example, you can say the first 90 minutes of your day, you don't use your cell phone. My ideal is to say from the time I wake up till midday, I don't use my cell phone. You can also mute colleagues. Some people are on Teams. You can actually say, look, I have a digital detox time where I switch off my notifications on Teams and the likes. The other thing is you can have digital detoxes over meals and certain activities. So, for example, as a family, you can say, let's be accountable to each other. We don't use our cell phones between 6 and 8 because it's actually family time, or we don't use our cell phones during meal times, because now what you're doing is you're creating an association between an activity and the lack of the digital stimulation. And that's back to that environment thing. I also have got digital free rooms in the house. I don't live in a mansion, but there's certain spaces in my home that I don't take my cell phone into. For example, not taking your cell phone into the bathroom. It's strange that you can't even have time to yourself in the bathroom. Is where a lot of creative thoughts and times of contemplation actually come that is being stolen from you. What I want to give our listeners or our viewers as an analogy is every time you are on your screen, you're taking time from your life, basically depositing it into the companies that own these entities. You become enslaved to them. You become an employee of what it is that they are doing, and you're not getting paid for it.
Sure.
You are actually creating a time deficit for your family. It's almost like taking a credit card and spending it and splurging and then thinking that, oh, I'll pay it back, I'll pay it back. But unfortunately, what you don't know is this credit card doesn't allow you to pay it back. Instead, it asks you to pay it forward because you're now losing relationship.
Absolutely.
You're losing focus.
Sure.
Would you open up that credit card account if you knew what you stand to lose?
Doctor, we have to leave it there. It's fascinating.
So soon.
I know. It's been such a wonder just to listen to how you've just adapted this whole thing. Is there space where we can see your experience? Did you pen it down? Did you chronicle your experience? Just quickly as we wrap up.
So as part of me being intentional, I actually did not create content because creating content is feeding into the beast as well.
Absolutely.
But what I think I will do post reflectively is maybe create a journey on LinkedIn. So to those of you that are listening, my name is Nobulali Tangazele. Please follow me on LinkedIn. That's the only social platform that I currently use because the ROI directly aligns to my professional journey, whereas I found that the other social media don't anymore.
All right, Doctor, thank you so much for sharing your wonderful experience and giving us some wonderful hints on how we can really work on the dopamine detox. Thank you for joining us here on Channel Africa.
Thank you for having me.
That's Dr. Nobulali Dangazele, who is a lecturer at the Gordon Institute of Business Science. Well, let's quickly move on, man. I know there's a lot of dopamine in sports, so I don't know if we're going to get another fix there, but let's find out what Musibudi Makura has for us in our sports update.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Benjamin. A very good morning once again from the sports desk. So Zimbabwe President Emmerson Mnangagwa has donated $400,000 of his personal funds to support the Warriors of Zimbabwe during their Africa Cup of Nations tournament campaign. So Sports Minister Anislem Sentanyi confirmed the contribution at the team send-off, saying the money will cover care as well as support throughout the tournament. In addressing players, government officials, business leaders as well as stakeholders, the Minister of Sports praised the President's consistent backing of the Warriors. Zimbabwe will depart with renewed confidence, aiming now to make history by progressing beyond the group stages for the very first time in the history of the country. Ghana, meanwhile, will field a home-based squad of uncapped players for next week's friendly match against South Africa in the Gauteng province. The Black Stars are not competing at this month's Africa Cup of Nations tournament, meaning no foreign-based players can be called up. The match serves as a warm-up for Bafana Bafana just before they depart for Morocco. Ghana will be coached by Kasim Mengel, while Otto Addo is focusing on the preparations for next year's FIFA World Cup. Well, Cote d'Ivoire head coach MSF Faye has named his 26-man squad for the upcoming AFCON tournament, with Wilfred Zaha making a surprise return and Simon Andingra missing out on the squad. The announcement was made on Tuesday as the defending champions confirmed the squad that will be partaking in the AFCON tournament. The returning Zaha is included for the very first time in nearly 2 years after impressing with Charlotte FC in the Major League Soccer in the USA, scoring 10 goals and also providing 6 assists this season. Meanwhile, Jean-Michel Seri also recalled returns after a long injury layoff. However, the absence of Brighton Hove Albion winger Simon Andingra is one of the headline omissions. Andingra, who was the breakout figure back at the 2023 AFCON tournament, has struggled for playing time at Sunderland this season, featuring only 9 times. Faye, meanwhile, said competition for his position was ever so strong and that he had to prioritise players with greater continuity in club football. Cote d'Ivoire enter the tournament in Group F alongside Cameroon, Gabon, as well as Mozambique. On to some cricket news now. Hardik Pandya's brilliant half-century rescued India from a top-order collapse to post a total of 175 for 6 before the bowlers tore through the run chase to dismiss South Africa for just 74 runs in 12.3 overs to win by an eye-watering margin of 101 runs in the first of 5 T20 internationals played at the Basbati Stadium in the city of Cuttack on Tuesday. It was South Africa's lowest ever total in a T20 international, with the highest score of just 22 runs from Devald Brevis, while all 6 bowlers used by India claimed at least 1 wicket each. The home side started the series as the strong favourites, with a settled and a much more informed team which had won 26 and lost only 4 matches since the 2 countries met in the final of the T20 World Cup in Barbados 17 months ago. South Africa have used over 30 players in this format of the game during that time and have won just 9 matches, lost 16, including a once-off match against Namibia. The second match of the 5-match T20 series will take place on Thursday. And finally, world number 1 Arina Sabalenka has weighed into the participation of transgender athletes in women's sport, saying it would be unfair for women to face biological men in professional tennis. Now, the WTA Tour gender participation policy currently permits transgender women to participate if they have been declared as a female for a minimum of 4 years and have also lowered their testosterone levels and agree on testing procedures. These conditions may be further varied by the WTA medical manager on a case-by-case basis. This was her comments, Sabalenka, on the transgender issue in women's tennis.
And I have nothing to do against them, but I feel like they still got huge advantage over the woman. And I think it's just not fair to a woman to basically face like the biologically man. And then it's, it's not fair. Like the woman been working the whole life to reach her limit, and then she has to face like a man, like which biologically much stronger. So for me, I don't agree with this kind of stuff in sport.
And that's right from the sports desk at the Sawa. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11714 4459. I'm back with the final sports update for the morning in the next hour. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Download the SABC app and take Channel Africa with you everywhere you go.
Siyabangena manje.
Vito i Jabulani Kolele iMagoda. Jabulani is a young man from Giyani in Limpopo in South Africa. Very easy guy, taking things easy. To know me is to know that I love what I do, which I'm crazy about it. So when you hear me on radio, expect the best. Expect great music. Expect great content. Expect 180 minutes of nothing but fun. You'll find me on the morning reset, 3 to 6 a.m., Monday to Friday. Siyabangena baba. Ay. Mbuleke.
Thank you, Musibudi. We have Matapelo Mahape standing by with our latest business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Palesa, and good morning. U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer has expressed openness to treating South Africa differently in a potential one-year extension of the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, which expires in September. Greer indicated that South Africa's unique issues, including high tariffs on U.S. products, could warrant its exclusion from the trade initiative if Congress advocates for it. South Africa's Ministry of Trade has reaffirmed the country's commitment to being included in a renewed AGOA. Tensions have escalated between the U.S. and South Africa, underscored by recent accusations of racial discrimination against South Africa's government and a 30% tariff imposed by Trump on South African imports due to unaddressed trade proposals. And Zambia has signed 3 memoranda of understanding with U.S. companies through the Zambia Development Agency, focusing on critical mineral processing, data sovereignty, and investment promotion. The agreements include a partnership with Austin Elements, Lucid Circuit, and Basara Advisors Incorporate. The collaboration aims to enhance Zambia-U.S. relations, particularly in securing critical mineral supply chains, with Zambia committing to responsible mining and sustainability standards in supporting of green energy technologies. And Swakorp Uranium, a subsidiary of China General Nuclear Power Group, has partnered with Namibia's NamWater to build the country's second desalination plant near the Swakorp Band. This facility, crucial for supplying water to the Husband uranium mine and surrounding communities, is said to start its implementation phase. Swakorp Uranium holds a 70% stake in the joint venture, which will create a 20 million cubic metric facility expected to enhance water supply stability. While the project's cost remains undisclosed, estimates suggest that it may reach $176 million. And Chinese exports to Africa are projected to exceed $200 billion by 2025, driven by the ongoing trade tensions with the United States. In the first 8 months of this year, China exported goods valued at $122 billion to Africa, while Africa's exports to China reached $87 billion, a 2.3% increase, resulting in a trade deficit of nearly $60 billion for Africa. The primary imports from China include machinery, heavy equipment, automobiles, and metal products. Director and Chief Economist Dr. Azar Jamin.
Africa is basically running a massive current account deficit. Money is flowing out of the continent in order to purchase machinery and equipment or other goods from China, and ultimately what it means is that African countries will see their currencies depreciating sharply, and that being inflationary, resulting in higher interest rates than would otherwise have been necessary.
And the Ethiopian Capital Markets Authority, ECMA, has finalized the legal and regulatory framework for foreign investor participation in its capital market, with an announcement expected soon. The government has also submitted its 4th review for the International Monetary Fund IMF Extended Credit Facility, anticipating a staff-level agreement shortly. Founder and CEO of Pragma Investment Advisory, Merede Fikiri Johannes, explains.
This is a huge milestone. I think that, let me put it this way. It is a huge milestone because, mind you, 5 decades ago, we used to have a capital market and foreign investors used to participate in it, but it was not formalized. But now, after 5 decades, now the regulator has been working very hard to establish the market. The market infrastructure is there. The companies are already being registered, dematerializing their securities, and ahead of the game, the authority is taking the lead, the initiative at the same time to say that, listen, guys, we want the foreign investors to come in and also invest, and we're already preparing the regulation.
And a look at your financial indicators. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 451. In Botswana, it's 13.18. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 33, and in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 10. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 43. Russia, it's 76 rubles 82. India, it's 89 rupees and 92, while in China, it's 70 yuan 6, and in South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rands 4 cents. $1 is trading at 75 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. A look at your commodities. Gold is trading at $4,205 and platinum at $1,671 per ounce, while the price of Brent crude oil is at $62.11 a barrel. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business News, I am Matapela Mahabe.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628.
Ukatili wa kijinsia unaharibu maisha na kutenga jamii. Hutokea nyumbani, shuleni, kazini na mara nyingi kwa ukimya. Lakini hauwezi kuendelea. Ukiona, ongea. Ikiwa unaumia, funguka, kwa sababu kutofanya lolote sio chaguo. Sikiliza vituo vyote 19 vya redio kuanzia Jumatano ya tarehe 23 Julai kwenye mijadala, ushauri, tamthilia, maonyesho ya elimu na mahojiano na wataalamu, manusura, watunga sheria na nchi nzima iliyoathirika na ukatili wa kijinsia kwenye vituo vyako pendwa vya redio. Piga simu 0800 428 428 ili kuripoti unyanyasaji au kupata msaada. GBV ikomeshwe na wewe. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na shirika la SABC.
Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
But I told you, like, the African boys is different, yeah? Innit? Now you in love, innit? It's deep, innit? Yeah, and I be in Mayfair with my London ting. We don't play fair, so what kind of chase? I call it my Prada miss, cause about 8 grand, baby, knock your feet. Knock your feet. Knock your feet. Yeah, baby, knock your feet. Baby, knock your feet. Knock your feet. Baby, nah. Yeah. She said she wanna go to Malibu. I do everything she wanna do. So I used to black card private wealth just to fly her through. You know everything comfortable. Told her meet me at the airport. Meet me at the airport. Nah, better yet, baby girl, would you meet me at the clearport? Let's fly private. You ain't gotta pack a damn thing. What you think is fucking cash flow? saw myself shooting TikTok challenges about who is more emotional, or talking on the phone for hours, or taking long strolls through the park. There goes my street cred. I never knew a love like this. You gave me the inspo for me to write this. You my future baby, mama, I want kids. So basically, I'll need a more life thing. So, with the ball drum, I don't really care about your man. I'm a pesa at the uppercut. With the ball drum, you ain't gotta waste your time. You will never find this kind of love. I want you, ain't yours. You know my love is true and soft. Love your new heels, you look cute, of course. But how about we change that to some Louboutins? Or maybe some Giuseppe's instead. Remember when you left me in bed and you took my black card and you went to the mall? You could live like that every day. Come on, let's move to the motherland. It's so beautiful, it's fun to learn. Baby girl, girl, kinda man. Cause every kiss takes me to La La Land.
Now that I've found love like this, seldomly does come around. I want to feel it. Please let me know if you're intentionally touching my soul. Oh my, sweet smell, 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 sweet smell.
It's that time of the year.
December.
December. Summer
Yes.
love is the name of the song.
Wahiti.
We were having this conversation not so long ago, right? The December flings.
Mhm.
Maybe this is what they're talking about in this song.
No comment.
Casper Nyovest featuring Ray on this one titled Summer Love. It's 10:50 Central Africa time.
Conversations are happening, and Channel Africa is at the heart of them. We tell the African story with clarity, pride, and purpose, reaching audiences that matter to your brand. Partner with us and connect your business with listeners across borders in multiple languages and markets. For partnership opportunities, sponsorship, or sales, email us at partnership@channelafrica.co.za. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Your life, your rhythm, your Africa. Channel Africa. Find it for free on Google Play and the Apple App Store. The rhythm of Africa, the pulse of the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Dance floor. Make you give me that love. If you give me, I no go let go. Make you give me, make I get my zanko. Feelings got me hitting on the freaky dance floor. Diallo, diallo. If I give you my love, oh, make you no disappoint, oh. Me, I get you for mine, oh. Diallo, diallo. If I give you my love, oh, make you no disappoint, oh. Me, I got you for mine, oh, my mind, oh. Goddamn, alright, goddamn. Get the way your body make me feel excited. Loving you, they put me on a different mindset. Girl, not only you, they make me stick to one girl. Goddamn, and I need you again, goddamn. Picture perfect, no they mind them. Keep it private, fuck on ballet. If you need me, baby, I'll be right there. Time for my lady, bum bang showing you the baby, you. Do me many things till they hear me, you. I'm ready if you're ready to give me that love. If you give me, I no go let go. Give me, make I kill my sanko. Feelings got me hitting
This is Ira Star featuring Wizkid on this one. Give me that. It's 10:54 Central Africa time. We've been having a lot of interesting conversations today, and the conversation that we're having in this hour of the show is speaking about the dopamine detox. When was the last time you just spent time away from everything in silence? In fact, I saw it's actually going to be quite weird that I'm going to say this in this conversation. Okay. I saw a TikTok.
Oh gosh.
I saw a TikTok.
Not a kid. I mean, the amount of times of this show where we've heard that line.
I saw a TikTok, okay? I saw a TikTok of a guy who says he wanted to do something like a dopamine detox. He didn't call it this, but he realized just how much time he was spending on his phone. Mm-hmm. And so he filmed himself just sitting on the ground, hands to himself, like no devices, no TV, nothing else, no sound, nothing, just sitting there. And you realize, so then he does, that fast forward, time lapse of him sitting there for about an hour, and how irritable he is.
Yeah.
Obviously in the beginning, how irritable, how much fidgeting they do, and you're trying not to say anything, not to speak, just to silence your mind.
So there's a lot of discomfort in the process.
There's a lot of discomfort. And over time, you see like in a week, and they just try and do that once a day for an hour. And then over time, you can even see them be in a more peaceful state during the time lapse of that hour that they show on that video. And it got me thinking, like a lot of people actually don't spend time doing absolutely nothing. And we can, right?
It's allowed.
It's allowed. It's allowed for you to actually spend time just doing nothing, not taking a nap, because that's also something else, but being awake, being active in your mind and just being here. But not fidgeting and everything. And the more time goes, it's become harder to do so. And I love the fact that, the guest that we were speaking to was speaking about the fact that they got more creative. Because remember when we were kids and before the devices, I also see these things, people posting videos of this, that we were so creative in our ways of play as well, right? You could grab a brick and children can literally do anything. It has nothing to do with even poverty. Children, even those who come from wealthy backgrounds, you'll just see them playing with like a leaf and throwing it up in the air, and it comes back down, and they laugh, and they throw it again up in the air, and it comes down, and you can just use everything. And that's a creative process that children have as a time for play. But children now don't have as much creativity in play because they play with their devices, on the phone, on the tablet, watching YouTube, on the TV, the PlayStation, and all these other things that I don't think they actually are creative enough to play without device.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. But also it's interesting when you speak about people who like are detoxing but still kind of recording their experiences, because indirectly your phone is still on. You're still recording yourself.
You're interacting.
You're still interacting with your phone in some way. So it just shows the relationship that we have. When we're still resting, we still want to record our resting and our quietness and record it for people to see. And then you go back online and you're going to show everybody that this is the process that I'm going through.
Hey, really quickly. Now you're spending another hour.
Yes,
so you spent an hour without your phone. Now you're spending another hour uploading, editing the video, posting the video, and now waiting for the interactions, replying to the comments.
Exactly.
And now you've already took away the hour that you've spent being mindless, apparently.
Or mindful.
Yes.
So it's tricky because I think we are in a world of content creation, right? And I think the doctor was right by saying the fact that we don't understand the fact that you are working for... I'm not a big fan of social media, I'll be honest. Because as a journalist, I know that when I do content and I create content, I know what it's worth, right? And I know what it means, right? Creating that content. So on social media, we literally are workers for free.
Yeah.
And literally we do these things and we create these things. Yes, there's some form of impact and you can create income in it and somehow you can get leverage on it. But you're still working for that platform.
You are.
For free. So we must think about it, how we are navigating our experiences on social media and how we, benefiting from it, right? So it's always thinking about the catch-22 situation. Do I not participate? The doctor was saying, I'm on LinkedIn because I know it's career driven. So I prefer that platform because I can leverage off that. So let's think a little bit more about why we do the things we do on our social media platforms.
Look, I'm not stopping my TikTok. I really love to see your guys' videos. Keep them coming on TikTok. But personally, I do take my daily dose of dopamine detox.
Sure.
That keeps me grounded, that keeps me mindful, and that keeps me using that analog brain that the doctor speaks about.
Sure.
Journaling, praying, thinking, just going through different, modes of this detachment from the device and the TV. I also don't switch on the TV after a particular time. 8 p.m. is the last TV time for me in particular, and I don't, engage in anything after that. So, yeah, maybe we all have our own little ways. How are you going to start your dopamine detox? Let us know on the WhatsApp number +27 63406 9126. It's 11 a.m. More conversations on the other side of our news update with Jwalane Tulongwepe.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Palesa. Top stories Asawa. South Africa's parliament adopts a new accountability mechanism, and teens officially locked out of their social media account in Australia. Good morning. The Democratic Alliance Party in South Africa says Parliament's newly established Oversight Committee on the Presidency could become one of the strongest tools for holding the executive to account if used properly. The National Assembly approved the committee last week. It will give MPs a dedicated mechanism to scrutinise the Presidency's work, spending and decision-making. The DA, which says it originally pushed for the establishment of the committee, says it now wants to ensure that the body delivers meaningful oversight. The party's chief whip, George Makalakis, explains the role the DA intends to play.
We do believe that that added mechanism in Parliament, which never existed before, will strengthen oversight in Parliament. The DA itself will obviously use our members on that committee to ensure that the process is robust and fair, and we look forward to playing our role in this committee, in which we have played a very, very key role in setting up.
The South African Human Rights Commission says the Constitution will remain unfulfilled if the rights of vulnerable groups, including the elderly, women and children, are not protected. The SAHRC statement comes on International Human Rights Day and ahead of the commemoration of the country's constitution in Braamfontein in Johannesburg. Commissioner Pilile Ntuli says although the Constitution guarantees citizens' rights, many are living in poverty and without dignity. Still in South Africa, Arts and Culture Deputy Minister Peace Mabe will today lead the national commemoration of the 29th anniversary of the signing of the Constitution in Sharpeville in the Vaal. The document had been signed in Sharpeville, where residents are still healing from the atrocities committed in their area during the apartheid era. They include the killing of 69 people and the wounding of 180 others in a shooting incident involving police and the army in March 1960 in what is today known as the Sharpeville Massacre. The department spokesperson, Cynthia Chaka.
This milestone returns the country to a place that symbolizes both the pain of apartheid and the moral resolve that shaped the democratic transition. Sharpeville is central to the nation's constitutional journey. In 1960, peaceful protesters who rejected the pass laws faced deadly force, exposing to the world the cruelty of a system built on racial oppression. In 1996, President Nelson Mandela chose this very community for the signing of the democratic constitution, cementing Sharpeville as a site of remembrance, accountability, and national renewal.
UN High Commissioner for Refugees Filippo Grandi has warned advances by paramilitary rapid support forces in Sudan could trigger another exodus across the country's borders. The RSF took over Darfur city of Al Fasher in late October in one of its biggest gains of the 2.5-year war with Sudan's army. This month, advances have continued eastward into the Kordofan region and they seized the country's biggest oil field. Most of the estimated 40,000 people that the United Nations say have been displaced by the latest violence in Kordofan have sought refuge within the country. Grandi says that could change if violence spreads to large cities like Al Obeid. Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says families are taking back control on the first day of the ban on under-16s using social media. Teenagers have been locked out of their social media accounts. The BBC's Katie Watson has more.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has called this a profound reform that will reverberate around the world. It's one of the biggest social and cultural changes that our nation has faced, he said. Kids can have their childhood and parents a greater peace of mind. But day one of the ban, and it's clear thousands of Australian youngsters are finding ways around the restrictions to access their favourite social media platforms. The government has admitted it won't be a flawless process, but the fact that it's happening at all, ministers say, is a win. The hope is that by Christmas, the government will have a better idea about whether the restrictions are working and what repercussions there'll be for companies that fail to follow the rules.
Recapping the top story this hour, the Democratic Alliance Party in South Africa says Parliament's newly established Oversight Committee on the Presidency could become one of the strongest tools for holding the executive to account if used properly. For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Cholani Tulo Wepe.
SABC News. The African Perspective. Download the SABC app and take Channel Africa with you everywhere you go. On the Move with Benjamin and Palesa every weekday on Channel Africa, The African Perspective.
Yeah, it's the final hour of On the Move this Wednesday morning. Happy Hump Day. And if you're moving about your day and you're doing different things, perhaps you're moving from one location to the other. Maybe you're going on your lunch break or maybe even a tea break. Maybe you work from home. There's so many ways to continue engaging with us here on Channel Africa. The Channel Africa app is up and ready for you to listen to the show live. All you have to do is download it on your app store, whether you use the iOS or Android operating system. Both of those are available to you. Find us as well on www.channelafrica.co.za, as well as on our audio bouquets, DSTV channel 802 and OpenView channel 628. We're moving on to our Live Well feature in this hour of the show, and today we're unpacking how families can navigate eating disorders during food-focused celebrations in the festive season. So that's going to be quite an intriguing conversation to look up to.
Hey, joining us on that one, we have Dr. Kakuma Tsebula, who's going to chat to us, a psychiatrist. So stay with us right here on the Move.
Africa, meet Abedi.
Yeah, that's me.
Abedi is a music lover through and through.
I really love African music.
He's got a taste for all kinds of tunes and spends his days listening to Channel Africa. Guess what? He didn't know.
Okay.
Channel Africa wants to help Abedi and all music lovers everywhere to discover even more incredible music. That is why Channel Africa is calling on all African musicians to submit their music. Musicians, remember to give us all your relevant information. Make your submissions at music@channelafrica.co.za. Submissions are your chance to be heard on radio. But sadly, they do not guarantee that you'll be playlisted. All submissions will be carefully reviewed to see if they meet our station's requirement. Channel Africa, the African Perspective. Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa on the Move.
Awuhlala phansi womntakwethu uxolo kancane ngikuse kukhona into engididayo. Awuhlala phansi wena Malisa uxolo kancane ngikuse kukhona into engididayo. Awuhlala phansi womntakwethu uxolo kancane ngikuse kukhona into engididayo. Yazi kukhona into engididayo. Kukhona into engididayo.
Ikwanje le ndoda efuna endlini ngoba wangitshela ukudla sajoni. Oh, yazi ungenzani? Amalungelo noma yini into eyenza ukuthi ungiphathe ngale ndlela. Amalungelo noma yini into eyenza ukuthi ungiphathe ngale ndlela. Usukuthini ukuthi ngifunde naye? Usukuthini phakathi kothando lwami nawe? Usukuthini ukuthi ngifunde naye?
This one is by Big Muzi Lutuli. Amalungelo is the name of this one. It's 10 minutes past 11 Central Africa time. Live well coming up after this.
The sound of Africa is evolving. Experience our new mobile app. Free to download, free to connect. Conversations are happening, and Channel Africa is at the heart of them. We tell the African story with clarity, pride, and purpose, reaching audiences that matter to your brand. Partner with us and connect your business with listeners across borders in multiple languages and markets. For partnership opportunities, sponsorship, or sales, email us at partnership@channelafrica.co.za. Channel Africa, the African perspective. We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628.
Hey, it's good times and good vibes. Of course, it's December. That's the festive season. And this is a season that revolves around long lunches, lavish braais, and big family gatherings where indulgence is not just about acceptable, but it's also expected. We want to eat and we want to eat good. However, loved ones living or recovering from eating disorders may find this time of the year anything but festive. Because while others are discussing desserts and braais and meat on the family WhatsApp group, these individuals are bracing themselves for comments about their bodies, questions or subtle critiques of portion sizes, and the emotional labor of facing relatives who don't really understand the complexity of their illnesses. The constant focus on food can lead to uncomfortable questions and a feeling of being judged or misunderstood. And today, we're unpacking how families can navigate eating disorders during food-focused celebrations this festive season. Joining us on the line is psychiatrist Dr. Gagu Matsebula. Thank you so much, Doctor, for your time this morning. It's a difficult time for those living with eating disorders, isn't it?
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me. So indeed, it is a very difficult time, extremely difficult time. As you've mentioned, the festive season is a time of community. It's a time where we meet and we share a meal. So it can be really difficult. And just briefly, when we speak about eating disorders, these are a diverse group of diseases that are potentially life-threatening. So people can and do die from complications of these diseases. And these diseases, not only do they impact the person concerned or the patient, but they also impact the family as well. And I'm really excited to have this opportunity because we can speak about this very important topic.
I'm glad that you introduced what eating disorders were before we get started, because I'm pretty sure in many communities and families where, people with these diseases exist, people think an eating disorder is a choice. So they say, why don't you just eat? Or why don't you, just eat less? We can control this. Surely you can as well.
100%. So let's give an example of, let's say, someone that's got another disease. Let's say stroke, for argument's sake, and the person can't walk because the left side of the body maybe has been adversely impacted by the stroke. We don't ask those people, why are you walking that way? We don't ask those people, why can't you use your left side of the body? Likewise with eating disorders, that disease influences and impacts A, how the person views their body, and B, it influences how they view food. So for some of these diseases or disorders, food is viewed as a threat. It's viewed as something that can cause harm. It's viewed as something that can cause a person to become something that they don't want, which is gaining weight. So it's really important that we sensitize ourselves and realize that this is an illness. It's not a behavior. It's not the person being funny. It's not the person wanting to be difficult.
Hmm. You know, body shaming is something that is very common in our communities, right? Especially in family gatherings. Commenting on people's weight is something that we do a lot, or people's kind of eating behavior. We kind of like making derogatory statements, right? Um, what must we be conscious of when it comes to these comments about people's bodies, how they're eating? Doctor, what would you advise for us to do? Because at times we are away from people for a long time, and during the Christmas season, maybe you haven't seen a family member for a long time. And, you know, it's so easy to say, hey, you've gained weight. Oh, you must be happy. That's what we usually say. But there's more happening underneath that layer than what meets the eye. So how would you say we approach this particular issue?
Thank you for that, Benjamin. I think that's such a beautiful question. It is not a good idea to make comments on people's weights or people's bodies. I always say to my patients, of all the things that we can speak about on this big world that we live in, weight or bodies should not be part of it. I mean, what do we have to lose if we don't make a comment on how a person's weight is? And I cannot tell you how many patients I've seen who, such a comment actually sticks with them. So let's rather run away from, speaking about how a person has gained weight, because you never know what's going on. The person might be on some form of treatment that's making them gain weight. The person could have some life-threatening illness, which is changing their weight. Instead, express joy at seeing the person. Talk about anything and everything. You can talk about the news. You can talk about music. You can talk about movies. You can talk about games. You can talk about what's happening at the Madanga Commission. There's so much that you can talk about. The other thing when it comes to talking is to be aware of the type of language that we use around meals. If you're going to have that second helping or third helping of dessert, don't then speak about the million gazillion calories that you've taken on and that you now have to spend 36 hours on the treadmill. That's not healthy. If you want the dessert, eat it. In essence, what I'm trying to say is we need to normalize conversations around food. So have the meal, no comments on people's weights, no body shaming, no comparing bodies, because that's one of the big things that people with eating disorders struggle with.
Mhm.
No saying Utapelo has gained weight, or Sipo has lost weight and is looking so good. That's not a healthy thing to talk about.
Yeah. There's so many eating disorders on different parts of the spectrum. There's anorexia, bulimia, binge eating, avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, and so many others that, of course, we don't know all of them. But essentially how most of us think about eating disorders is two-sided. Those who eat excessively and those who don't want to eat. There's obviously a lot in the spectrum in between. But I want us to focus on these two because that's what the community sees as eating disorders, and how the community judges one another when it comes to eating together at dinner tables. And so when people are on either side of these spectrums of these eating disorders, and there's food there in front of us, everybody's eating, people are looking at each other, and they're also looking at your weight in respect to what your plate looks like. How does one actually feel? How would one feel who has an eating disorder on each of these sides during this festive eating period?
Thank you for that, Palesa. So when we speak about anorexia and bulimia, as you've quite rightly said, these are the ones that tend to be more well-known amongst the populace. So with a person who's got anorexia, there is an intense fear of gaining weight. And so what that person does is they really cut down the portions of meals that they eat, or in some cases, they restrict their foods. So what might happen in that family gathering, if you've got someone with anorexia, you might notice that their servings are way more smaller than everyone else. They might take an even longer time to complete that meal. And in some instances, they might not even finish the meal, or you might notice that there's certain food types that they just run away from. like carbs, for argument's sake, or fats. Those ones they'll run away from. Then on the other end of the spectrum, we've got people who have got bulimia. And a person that's got bulimia is characterized by this loss of control when it comes to food. So that person tends to eat faster or a larger amount of food than ordinary. And they tend to feel quite sad, or they have a sense of self-disgust after they've eaten. And what they then try to do is they try to come up with what we call inappropriate ways of preventing weight gain. So they might disappear from the family. They might go off to a place that's private, and you might find that some of them might even start to elicit vomiting. That is how these people may present. But again, it's really important for the audience to know that these are not people who are being funny or trying to be clever or trying to do white people's things, as some people call it.
Yeah.
But rather, these are people that are unwell. They have a disease, and that disease demands understanding and medical attention.
Stay on the line, Doctor. We'll continue this conversation after this. How can families navigate eating disorders during food-focused celebrations this festive season? Dr. Gagu Matsebula will continue this conversation with us after the break.
Você é fluente em português? É apaixonado por rádio e quer trabalhar na África do Sul? Você tem documentos que o qualificam para trabalhar na África do Sul? Nesse caso, podemos ter uma oportunidade para você trabalhar no Canal África. Envie seu currículo e demonstração para Canal África at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Lembre-se, se você não receber alguma resposta nossa em 14 dias, isso significa que você não foi selecionado. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
Your life, your rhythm, your Africa. Channel Africa. Find it for free on Google Play and the Apple App Store. Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa on the move.
Hey, I love the conversations we have here on the show. How do we try to live our lives with a sense of sensibilities towards others? How do we try to also live well in ourselves and uplift ourselves? So this is also a very enriching conversation, a very sensitive one indeed, because during this season, there's a constant focus on food and can be uncomfortable and can lead to very dismissive statements. Others can feel judged when it comes to navigating this. We're speaking around the issue of, those who are struggling with eating disorders, and they have to be part of food-focused celebrations during this time. Dr. Gagu Matsebula joins us, a psychiatrist. Dr. Gagu, you've been helping us on this one, and we've been speaking from an outside-in perspective, but there are those who are probably listening to us and have eating disorders themselves, and they know it, and it's a secret, and at times maybe they're also trying to get help. How do they navigate this season? Because it is difficult having an eating disorder.
Indeed, thank you for that, Benjamin. It is difficult in terms of the severity of this disease. So for a person that does have eating disorders, there are just 3 points that I'd like to touch on, and these, they can try to implement these as we go into the festive season. The first is self-care, and this applies to the families as well, because we don't want families to undergo what's called caregiver burnout. So self-care means continue doing things that make you happy, continue with the normal routines of life, continue chasing goals that are important to you. That's the first thing. When it comes to the second point, we call that PrEP. So if there is a medical team, and there really should be when we're speaking about people with eating disorders, we can have discussions with the medical team about, we're going into the festive season, this is what tends to happen, please help us come up with a meal plan that incorporates snacks as well. If we can get that and implement that consistently, it does tend to work out a bit better. And in terms of PrEP, the other thing that can be done is that maybe a couple of the family members that we feel comfortable talking to, we can let them know that we do have this family member that has got this difficulty going on with their health. maybe let's see if we can accommodate them when it comes to the meal plan. And in terms of prep, again, we can have the person with the eating disorder come up with maybe a phrase or a gesture that they can use when they're starting to feel overwhelmed. And when they use that sign, then, they can find a quiet place in the house where they can get to recover and recoup themselves. And then the third point is talk. Talk there means we shouldn't, spend a lot of attention on food and on the diseases as well. People that have got illnesses know that there's this illness that they have, and they really don't like being the center of attention. So talk about anything and everything, like we said a few minutes ago, games, music, movies, and things like that. And then lastly, and equally importantly, it's absolutely essential for the family to know that when the person withdraws and they need to be in their own private space, it's not a rejection of the family, but rather it's the person feeling overwhelmed and needing that private space.
Yeah.
That's what they can do to help them in this season.
On the note of self-care there, Doctor, sometimes we know that we can speak about it openly, maybe try and navigate a way where the family interacts with it in a kind, a helpful way. But we know that in some families, there's a 80-year-old grandmother, who says whatever she wants. There's an aunt somewhere who you can't tell anything about. And there are people who are very uneducated about mental health that says, you're just being funny. We don't really care about this. Is it an option of self-care for those living with eating disorders at this time not to go spend Christmas with their families, not to go to these large family gatherings, and perhaps find other alternative social ways, perhaps with their friends who they're close with, or maybe, the families that we create, and just not attend these events at all?
Absolutely. Look, if it is clear that these family members, you're trying to counsel them and to teach them about what this disease is, and it's clear that it's just not touching sides, then yes, self-care does mean that we avoid these people. To have familial relations doesn't mean that there must be physical proximity, especially if the physical proximity leaves the person feeling overwhelmed or invalidated or triggered or made to feel worse. The other thing that I love to speak to my patients about is that flexibility supersedes family traditions. And when we speak about flexibility, we're speaking about things and measures that a person has to put into place to protect their health. Let's use another example. Let's say someone has got cancer of the lungs, for argument's sake, and we've got a family member there who smokes in the presence of this person, even though this person might be on oxygen. There, we would not bat an eyelid if the person with cancer moves away from the person who smokes. Sure. The same thing applies to a person with an eating disorder.
Yeah, it's so powerful, all these things that you've been mentioning. And I'm wondering, in terms of, the fact of we love our family members and we really do care. And at times we speak out of turn and we can do things because not of indifference, but because of not knowing. I'm thinking about this in a very broad sense, Dr. Gaku. I'm wondering what we can also do to learn more about this topic of eating disorders, so we're more aware of it and we understand it a little bit more. Because I think when it comes to the act of eating, we think it's something that is involuntary. We don't think that it's something that is connected to illness. We just don't know.
Thank you for that. I would really encourage everyone that is watching the live stream and listening to this broadcast to go and research. Where can you research? There are some reliable websites. As a rule of thumb, there are some hospital groups that do have certain websites that you can check out. Those are really, really good. The South African Depression and Anxiety Group, they also have a really good website. Or when you're doing the reading, maybe you log on to whichever website, just have a look at who has actually contributed to that article. articles that are contributed to or written by healthcare professionals, those tend to be quite good. I do know that there are certain forms of media, print and electronic, that do run these health segments. You can check those out as well. But it's absolutely essential that people learn about these diseases, not to treat them, but to understand them, which is what people with eating disorders need. They just need to be understood. They need a safe, calm environment.
Well, Dr. Gaku, thank you so much for helping us on this one. And you spoke so simply and in such a generous way that we can actually change our behaviors as those who might be around family members with eating disorders. Thank you for your time and your generosity.
Thank you so much for having me. Only a pleasure.
Fantastic. That's Dr. Gaku Matsebula, who's a psychiatrist. That conversation takes us to 11:30. What do you think about that? Do you ever think about, I'm thinking about it. Maybe I made a comment just even yesterday about someone's weight. You know, sometimes you say things out of turn. Are you convicted by this conversation? What do you think we need to change, especially when we speak about other people's body weights and that type of thing? Give us your thoughts on our WhatsApp number, +27 63 406 9126, or you can give us your commentary on that live stream. There's comment sections where you can respond to us here on Channel Africa. Let's move on right now, wrap up our morning sports with Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you so much, Benjamin. A very good afternoon, or should I say good morning from the sports desk. We'll start with the story. So Cote d'Ivoire head coach Emre Sefai has named his 26-man squad for the upcoming Africa Cup of Nations tournament, while Wilfried Zaha making a surprise return and Simon Ndengra also missing out on the squad. The announcement was made on Tuesday as the defending champions confirmed the squad that will take to Morocco. The returning Zaha is included for the very first time in nearly 2 years after impressing with Charlotte FC in the Major League Soccer, scoring 10 goals and providing 6 assists in the process. Now, Jean-Michel Serre, also recalled, returns after a long injury layoff. However, the absence of Brighton Hove Albion at Simon Ndingra is one of the headline omissions. Ndingra, who was the breakout figure at the 2023 AFCON tournament, has struggled for playing time at Sunderland in the Premier League this season, only featuring 9 times. Fire having said that the competition for his position is very strong and that he had to prioritise players with greater continuity in club football. So Cote d'Ivoire will enter the tournament in Group F alongside Cameroon, Gabon as well as Mozambique. Ghana, meanwhile, will play a home-based squad of uncapped players for next week's friendly match against South Africa in the Gauteng province. The Black Stars are not competing at this month's Africa Cup of Nations tournament, meaning no foreign-based players can be recalled. The match serves as a warm-up for Bafana Bafana before they depart for Morocco in just a few weeks' time. Ghana, by the way, will be coached by Kassim Mingel, with Otto Addo focusing on preparations for next year's FIFA World Cup. We'll stay with football news. Saudi Arabia says it will do whatever it can to sign unsettled Liverpool star Mohamed Salah in January. A source at Kingdom's Public Investment Fund confirmed they are monitoring Salah's situation very closely, with both PIF-backed clubs as well as Amcor's Al Qadish showing interest in the player. Salah, left out of Liverpool's Champions League squad against Inter Milan, admitted he felt thrown under the bus after being benched in a 3-3 draw with Leeds just last weekend. By the way, he did not feature for Liverpool in last night's game against Inter Milan in the UEFA Champions League. On to some tennis news now. World number 1 Aryna Sabalenka has weighed into the participation of transgender athletes in women's sports, saying it would be unfair for women to face biological men in professional tennis. The WTA transgender participation policy currently permits transgender women to participate if they have declared their gender as female for a minimum of 4 years, having lowered testosterone levels and agreed to testing procedures. These conditions may be further varied by the WTA medical manager on a case-by-case basis. This is what Sabalenga had to say about this issue.
And I have nothing to do against them, but I feel like they still got huge advantage over the woman. And I think it's just not fair to a woman to basically face like the biologically man. And then it's, it's not fair. Like the woman been working the whole life to reach her limit, and then she has to face like a man, like which biologically much stronger. So for me, I don't agree with this kind of stuff in sport.
Just a final one. Zimbabwe President Emmerson Mnangagwa has donated $400,000 of his personal funds to support the Warriors during the upcoming Africa Cup of Nations tournament. Now, the sports minister Mleslem Santanye confirmed his contribution at the team's send-off, saying the money will cover care as well as support throughout this year's tournament. In addressing players, government officials, business leaders as well as football stakeholders, the minister also praised the president's consistent backing of the Warriors. Zimbabwe will depart with renewed confidence, aiming now to make history by progressing beyond the group stages for the very first time in the country's history. It's 11:35 a.m. Central African time, and that's a wrap of your morning sports news right here on Channel Africa. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, our email address is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Call us as well on +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Download the SABC app and take Channel Africa with you everywhere you go.
Darubini ya Afrika na I am Henry Shakif.
Deogratus Bwire, wewe kama mkurugenzi wa shirika la kutetea haki za binadamu kutoka kule Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Maandamano yameendelea kwa siku ya pili. Nini kinaendelea?
Kwanza mimi ningependa tusiliweke kama wafuasi wa upinzani. Kwa sababu kiukweli mimi nilipata kidogo kushuhudia watu waliokuwa wanapita barabarani hawakuwa kwa namna yoyote ile wamebeba bendera ya chama chochote cha upinzani.
Umezungumzia swala zima vitu ambavyo havijakaa sawa vinapaswa kurekebishwa. Vitu hivyo ni nini?
Hivyo vitu ambavyo havijakaa sawa tayari nimeshavisema huko. Najua kumekuwepo na mtiririko wa matukio mengi sana. Watu ambao wanakuwa wanapinga masuala kadha wa kadha ambayo yanaonekana kufanywa na vyombo vya dola kwenye mitandao au hata pia nje, wamekuwa wakichukuliwa hatua.
Darubini ya Afrika kila Jumatatu hadi Ijumaa kuanzia saa 11 kamili hadi saa 12 kamili jioni majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
It's time for our latest business news with Matapelo Mahape.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Palesa, and good morning. Nigeria's debt to the World Bank is expected to reach approximately $9.65 billion by December 2025, with nearly $8.4 billion in new loans secured since May of 2023. The borrowing initiated by President Bola Tinubu involved $2.7 billion in loans for 4 major projects, primarily focusing on power sector recovery, renewable energy access, girls' education, and women's economic empowerment. Business editor at the Guardian newspaper, Jeff Liati.
It would be fair we look at the entire debt portfolio of Nigeria. If you look at if you look at the past administration, the growth of debt, it was much higher than what we see now. But the speed of growth we've seen the past 2-3 years is partly attributed to the depreciation of the Naira. Naira has lost about over 60% of its value. So in real term, yes, nominal term, the growth, the debt has grown speedily, but in real term, it is not, the difference is not really that much.
And the U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer has expressed concern to treating South Africa differently in a potentially 1-year extension of the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, which expired in September. Greer indicated that South Africa's unique issues, including high tariffs on U.S. products could warrant its exclusion from the trade initiative if Congress advocates for it. South Africa's Ministry of Trade has reaffirmed the country's commitment to being included in a renewed AGOA. Tensions have escalated between the US and South Africa, underscored by recent accusations of racial discrimination against South Africa's government and a 30% tariff imposed by Trump on South African imports due to unaddressed trade proposals. And South Africa's construction sector is showing signs of recovery with a 0.1% increase in the third quarter of 2025. Despite the overall economic growth being only 0.5%, the Afrimat Construction Index rose at 10%. The government launched its first infrastructure and development finance bond to enhance capital formation and expanded the National Infrastructure Pipeline. Chief Economist and Director at Econometrics, Dr. Azar Jamin.
It appears as if it might be turning the tide, but you've got to bear in mind that it has been an extremely depressed sector. The level of investment in construction has fallen by more than anything else in the economy. The GDP of construction has been by far the weakest of any of the 10 sectors of the economy in the last decade.
And Zambia has signed 3 memoranda of understanding with U.S. companies through the Zambia Development Agency, focusing on critical minerals processing, data sovereignty and investment promotion. The agreements include partnerships with Austin Element, Lucid Circuit and Bosara Advisors Incorporate. The collaboration aims to enhance Zambia's U.S. relations, particularly in securing critical mineral supply chains, with Zambia committing to responsible mining and sustainability standards in support of green energy technologies. Onto this now, Venture Global has submitted a legal response to Shell's claims over an arbitration defeat concerning liquefied natural gas LNG cargoes, denying allegations of fraud and asserting that Shell breached arbitration confidentiality. This development follows a series of arbitration claims filed by Shell, BP and others against Venture Global, particularly regarding the company's alleged failure to meet longer-term LNG contracts amid rising spot market prices post Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Venture Global contends that Shell's claims are lacking evidence and that Shell improperly disclosed confidentiality arbitration information to third parties. Shell has not yet commented on the filing. And a look at your financial indicators. $1 US in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 451. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 18. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 33. And in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 10. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 43. Russia, it's 76 rubles 87. India, it's 89 rupees 92. While in China, it's 7 yuan 6. And in South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rands 4 cents. $1 is trading at 75 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. A look at your commodities. Gold is trading at $4,201 and platinum at $1,672 per ounce, while the price of Brent crude oil is at $62.05 a barrel. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business News, I am Matabela Mahabi.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628.
Annie Kalonji sur Channel Africa.
Comment est-ce que les militants et sympathisants du parti Les Transformateurs ont-ils réagi face à la condamnation de Succès Masra?
La condamnation de Succès Masra ne nous a pas surpris et les militants transformateurs ont été bouleversés et indignés étant donné que le verdict est un verdict lourd, illégal, injuste et donc face à la répression dans laquelle le peuple tchadien est confronté, les militants transformateurs se sont résignés de ne pouvoir pas sortir manifester. Et donc, c'est une situation totalement absurde pour un pays. Et aujourd'hui, nous célébrons le 11 août, fête de l'indépendance. On pensait que le verdict allait être plus ou moins clément, mais le verdict est sévère.
Annie Kalonji tous les dimanches sur Mix Vibration.
Conversations are happening, and Channel Africa is at the heart of them. We tell the African story with clarity, pride, and purpose, reaching audiences that matter to your brand. Partner with us and connect your business with listeners across borders in multiple languages and markets. For partnership opportunities, sponsorship, or sales, email us at partnership@channelafrica.co.za. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Africa Update on Channel Africa with Lulu Kabu.
Mozambique's opposition leader Venancio Mondlane has been charged with incitement to terrorism and disobedience. He faces a total of 5 charges. The charges relate to post-election violence that left hundreds of people dead. What punishment is he looking at?
The most severe charges are 2. One is incitement for terrorism, and also is being charged for mobilizing people for terrorism during the protests. These charges are really serious and severe. If he is condemned, is found guilty, he could serve 10 years plus years in jail, meaning that he would be banned from political participation, mainly for the 2028 and 2029 electoral cycle.
The director of CDD, the Center for Democracy and Development, Adriano Novunga.
Africa Update with Lulu Kabu, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time. Channel Africa and you have got something in common. The thirst for knowledge.
No, 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 no. Oh, yeah. I'm in chains, you're in chains too. Our uniforms and you are uniforms too. I'm a prisoner, you're a prisoner too, Mr. Jailer. Oh, I have fears, you have fears too. I'll die, but you said will die too. Life is beautiful. Don't you think so too, Mr. Jailer? I'm talking to you, Jailer. Stop calling me a prisoner. Let he who is without sin be the first to cast a stone, Mr. Jailer. Mr. Jailer, man, you suppress all my strategies. You oppress every part of me. What you don't know, you're a victim too, Mr. Jailer. Oh, you don't care about my point of view. If I die, another will work for you. So you treat me like a modern slave, Mr. Jailer. I'm talking to you, Jailer. Stop calling me a prisoner. Let he who is without sin be the first to cast a stone, Mr. Jailer. Mr. Jailer, man. You see, if you walking in the marketplace, down throw stones. Even if you do, you just might hit one of your own. Life is not about your policies all the time, so you better rearrange your philosophies and be good to your fellow man. Stop calling me a prisoner. Let he who is without sin be the first that cast the stone, Mr. Jailer. Oh, I'm talking to you, Jailer. Stop calling me a
Usher on this one, titled Jaila. It's 11:49 Central Africa time. We are about to wrap up as the On The Move team, but of course not before we hear what's coming up on the Africa Update. Lulu Gabu is here to let us know. How are you doing, Lulu?
Well, thanks, and how are you guys?
Doing good, thank you.
Great. So a lot is happening, not only in South Africa, but across the globe, especially also on the African continent. So today we're going to be focusing on the M23 rebels in the DRC seize another town in the east of the country.
What happened
This
to
is literally
the Donald Trump
peace deal?
Peace deal.
That peace deal has literally fallen apart days after it has.
Apparently,
it has
on
been
that day
signed.
there was still
There was
attacks.
also, but the question is, how do you agree on a peace deal and sign off on a peace deal when the rebels, or whoever leads the rebels, whichever grouping it is, whether it's the M23 and whichever one, are not there?
Yeah.
So it becomes tricky. I mean, analysts are speaking on this and speaking about the fact that it's not going to hold.
Yeah, even the body language of both presidents of DRC and Rwanda, you can tell that there is no real consensus.
The stance of Rwanda's president, Kagame, his stance is Tshisekedi should sort out his country.
Ooh.
So that's his stance.
Sure.
He says his country, as Rwanda, is developing smoothly. Everything is running well operationally as he is president, and Felix Tshisekedi should also do the same thing. So it's a very tricky one. We're going to be speaking to two individuals on this. The first one is Patrice Mwamba, a former presidential candidate for the DRC. He'll unpack exactly what should be happening or what they're hoping will come out of everything that's unfolding in the DRC. And also the big question is, Donald Trump, the push for the deals that he's signing, not only on the African continent with the DRC and Rwanda, the rest of the world, the UK-Russia issue, the peace, what do you call it? The peace, Nobel Peace Prize and so on.
And the FIFA
Peace Prize. So there's a lot that's happening. But it's a very big story that we're focusing on. And we're all hoping that at some point, peace will prevail in the DRC, because the people in the eastern DRC are really, really having a difficult time. And then also today marks International Human Rights Day. And we are going to be focusing on that. Stay tuned for all of that and more on Africa Update.
Thank you, Lulu. Looking forward to the Africa Update. Stay with us right here on Channel Africa. You'll continue getting the latest news, views, and entertainment from the African perspective.
Ukatili wa kijinsia unaharibu maisha na kutenga jamii. Hutokea nyumbani, shuleni, kazini na mara nyingi kwa ukimya. Lakini hauwezi kuendelea. Ukiona, ongea. Ikiwa unaumia, funguka, kwa sababu kutofanya lolote sio chaguo. Sikiliza vituo vyote 19 vya redio kuanzia Jumatano ya tarehe 23 Julai kwenye mijadala, ushauri, tamthilia, maonyesho ya elimu na mahojiano na wataalamu, manusura, watunga sheria na nchi nzima iliyoathirika na ukatili wa kijinsia kwenye vituo vyako pendwa vya redio. Piga simu 0800 428 428 ili kuripoti unyanyasaji au kupata msaada. GBV, ikomeshwe na wewe. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na shirika la SABC.
Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
When I'm in my car, the radio's on. Windows down, the music is up. This is the life of me. Nothing to worry about. Whoa. Riding with my friends downtown we go. We missed our turn, oh no. I guess we keep on going, you know. Oh, you never know what we will find tonight. Love is in the air, and tonight we just don't care. I know we only have the night, so let's do this and make it right. Take me to the ocean, everybody got motion, and I'm feeling the ocean. Take me to the ocean. Oh, skip it down. Everybody needs someone in life, hey, to live life and enjoy the time. So all the boys and girls come down tonight. Find someone you like and live it up tonight. Oh, you never know what we will find tonight. Love is in the air, and tonight we just don't care. I know we only have the night, so let's do this and make it right. Take me to the ocean. Everybody got motion, and I'm feeling this notion. 'Cause love is a potion. Take me to the ocean. Oh, skip it down. Everybody needs someone in life, hey, to live life and enjoy the time. So all the boys and girls come down tonight. Find someone you like and live it up tonight.
This is by L Boy, talking about a place where you all wish you were right now, the ocean.
A little bit of a beach somewhere.
Yeah, of course. That's how we wrap up the conversations of the day right here on The Move. It's been a good one. Thank you so much for participating in the conversations. And of course, stay tuned right here to Channel Africa for that African perspective. Have yourself a fantastic day.
Hey, we're getting out of here. God bless everybody. We leave you with last name. This is Nikita Kering. Coming up is the Africa Update with Lulu Gabu. Stay with us right here on Channel Africa. Don't go anywhere.
Make your body come my phone. Leave me alone. Cause me I want them my zone. No place like home. All my ladies. You know say I no be novice. Shake your body, make me notice. Say from the room to the floor to the kitchen, till we make you babies. Leave it up for many places. Baby, make you know the babies. Take my